Hey, this is Death Unto Madness. We are back with another episode of your favorite Burning Wheel show on the internet, I assume.
What other Burning Wheel shows are out there?
Not many, I can tell you that. There are a few, but... So we are here. Chad, I don't know where he is. He just, he's not here. I don't know. He hasn't responded to my text. So, let's, we'll go ahead and get going without him, and hopefully he'll show up at some point. That's all right. I mean, the Death and Madness is a pretty, all the characters are pretty separated from each other right now, so it should be just fine. To not do any Alpheus stuff today. So Carly, did you still want to start with Avra stuff, or Finn's also being kind of loud too, so up to you.
Yes. Yeah, we might have to come back to me.
That's all right. Yeah. Whenever you want to jump into it, just let me know. Carly was saying that doing her last, she's always like really tired at the end of sessions, so she's like, we should try doing me first this time. But then we have Finn to worry about. So it's all right. We got Joser and Maya stuff we can do, but let's go ahead and do beliefs and instincts and traits to get us started. Joser, let's go ahead and start with you. I looked at your beliefs this morning. I saw you changed a few of them, so I'll be curious to hear your thoughts on your new belief situation.
Indeed. So Hagiel's power must be increased if his light is to pierce the coming darkness. I will attempt to learn of my past.
Nice.
I want to know more about when I was a dog in reverse. If I am to maintain myself, I must be aware of all the variables. I will join the Nulla Mysteria Clava.
So I had a question about that. What? I don't know what that is, or what.
Look, I don't know Latin, but Google says that Nulla Mysteria Clava is no secrets club. So,
oh, I see. Okay, I was like, okay, if you're trying to like make up some like organization here, it's probably not like Latin. It wouldn't be the language you'd use, but okay, that makes way more sense. Cool, sounds good. No secrets club, it is. And that last one.
Yep. In order to advance my plans, I need more allies whom I can actually trust. I will seek out my ship's weather witch and ask her for a favor.
Yeah, that makes sense to me, that your ship would have one. Seems like a thing that would be in this setting.
Yep. And
very fun.
Being weather-based, I'm thinking it probably has something to do with Hagiel as well. So.
Cool stuff. Instincts and traits?
My instincts are to always pray for greater insightfulness before entering a social situation. If Thalia is addressed negatively, then I ready my knife and never reveal the true intentions behind my actions unless they're related to me.
Got it.
My traits are rabble-rouser, well-traveled, cunning and strange, as well as being faithful, a manhunter, weather sense, believer, vested, and incomprehensible diagnosis.
Very good, very good. My child is crying very heavily in the background. I can hear him through the walls. Poor sad Finn. Maya.
Poor baby. I think I have mine. I'll do whatever it takes to elevate my son to place of prophet king. I will find a way to earn more funds.
Okay.
Alpheus is a traitor. I will ensure he is never welcome back in Sinia. I am Malekith's partner, and I will stand by him no matter what. I will learn more about who he is as a god.
Okay, all right. Sounds good. He would probably also like to know this.
Yeah.
Cool. Instincts and traits?
Oh, sorry. My instincts are, I always put my son first, no matter what. Never back down from a challenge. If I meet a fellow performer, I will give them my assistance. Traits are colorful, religious, ambitious, competitive, thick-skinned, market privilege, bastard, and glib.
Very nice. What does glib actually give you? Soothing platitudes, falsehood, and seduction. Very nice. Do you actually have any of those skills?
I do.
You have falsehood, soothing platitudes, but you don't have seduction. So
no, I do not. Surprisingly,
I know.
I feel like I I guess my utter wit just charmed
or
Malekith.
your skill in seduction has deprecated over the years, and you've
Yeah,
lost the
probably.
skill. Once you seduce Malekith, you didn't really need it anymore. So,
and it was really him seducing me. Let's be real.
Sure. With his
by the
money.
way, Alyssa, you need to mark a challenging test on your resources because you helped with that one last session and didn't like it.
Yes.
Thanks for always looking out for us, Josh. These tests.
Yes, you can thank Josh for giving everybody being learned tests. He and other practice tests and whatnot. He went through and gave everybody their full practice schedules. So that was fun.
I still don't understand it, but you know what? Honestly, you do, and that's all that matters.
I don't either.
Yeah. So your husband, I went through was it 17 months of him that I had to give him? 15 months or something?
Yep, 15 months of practice time. Yep. I hear Finn still crying. So I'll go ahead and read off Avra's, and we'll see if just so we don't blast your guys's all the headphone users. Poor Finn.
Aw, poor Finn. Finn, don't cry, baby.
So Avra has the beliefs. I believe that with the help of Citus, I can stop what is coming. I will work with him to find answers in the Irida. I believe Celadon is meant to be my partner in life. I will assist him with his work in Nema. I believe a lady is not noble without a bird on her arm. I will find a new companion. Instincts, I have a task. If I have a task beyond my specialty, then I seek the advice of someone more competent. If I have a question, then I will consult answers from the Irida. If I meet a bird, then I will seek to determine its character. Traits, your grace, formalist, religious, competitive, careful. Birdie talk, mark of privilege, dreamer, practiced precision, and driven. Very good. Okay, so who would like to get us started here? We got all sorts of beliefs
Either way
to go towards. Let's go ahead.
Well,
Josh,
I was sort of intending to do something immediately after I finished talking to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm fine with this. Like, we should probably go do our separate things first and then come together because I'm sure that we could probably accomplish our common goals.
Yep.
Some goals together. So.
I also had a question regarding last time.
Yeah.
Because I the more I think of it, the more Jose's is so oriented about having answers that I was wondering if he could be allowed to just know that it is who Malekith is. Because the more I think of it, the more I think that Joseph would, like, if he got that answer of Malekith knows more than you think, he'd more than likely just go through a string of questions of, okay, how does he know? What does he know? When you know it?
I mean, you can certainly suspect.
I'm okay if you just say nix it. That's just the question I was going to ask.
Joser can suspect anything he wants to, but I don't think he knows, right?
That's cool.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, you could certainly make a faith roll right now to just know, right? That's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be astrology.
It'd
be astrology that I do it, but yeah.
That's certainly something. If Joser wants to go into the meeting like knowing 100% what he's getting into, that's totally something that he could do. But he can suspect whatever he wants, but and it's like one of those things, right? Like where once you know for sure, you're like, yeah, I knew it. But until you actually get that last piece, you know, you're not 100% certain if your guesses are correct. So,
alrighty. Well, let's start with the other thing. So yes, the first thing Joseph would want to do is, like, immediately after Maya has, like, given him her confidence, like this initial thing, he immediately is heading off to do another thing to help her out. Okay. Like that's his, he reciprocates, that's his, like, guarantee. Sure. So he's, like, heading for the docks to find his ships with a witch.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, so we see let's go over to Setkiss here. You guys were already at Setkiss. I was in Nema. Let's see. So what district even is that? Guess it would just be 5 and 3. The ship that you guys came on is probably in District 3 over here, the storehouses district. And because it's nearby where you guys are quartered. So we see I can't think off the top of my head what like Egyptian style ships look like, but you see a lot of those. But you probably also see some Sinian ships that came over with the whole crew. And we see, dock workers moving in and out, gathering things, dropping things off at storehouses, and we see Joser and I assume Thalia and Sadiq all head over to this ship. Let's just for funsies. Oops. Let's do. Yes, circles definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to generate a ship name. Oh no, not that kind of ship. The one that I clicked on was put your two names together, and that'll be your couple ship name, like what your name is as a couple. Sailing ship. So let's see, Weather Witch. That's a bit of more of an obscure life path, but you had sailing stuff, right?
Yep. It's same setting.
Same setting, so up 3 altogether, probably, right?
Base 3.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to it is to do with the weather, and I would like the position to have been like a derivative of like a Hagielian priestess role.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know whether you want to increase the odd by 1 for just to say that specifically. Or
let's do that, and we can say that if you don't get the role, then it's something else besides a Hagiel based thing. It would be like some sort of maybe like Pyrus based thing instead.
Yep.
Sure. Yeah. Let's do op 4. I think this ship's called the Siren. Yeah. Go ahead and make that circles roll, and we'll see who this Weather Witch might be.
Yep. Yes, I'd like my affiliation, of course, and my reputation is about being a surgeon, and the only time I've been a surgeon is on the boat.
Ship. That makes sense. Yep.
So let's see, circles with 4 assists. Let's see, how much persona do I actually have? I won't put any persona into this one. And base obstacle 4.
Mm-hmm. Oof. That was not very good at all. I think we'll say that this Weather Witch is a Pyrus worshiper, right? So focused more on the calming of the oceans than calming of the storms per se, right? And this person, you and her have never seen eye to eye, right? It's just for whatever reason, just not in the cards for you guys to get along. And maybe it was about religion for you guys, right? Like you were like, no. Your prayers are actually going to Hagiel, like I promise you, sort of a thing, right? Like Pyrus has no control over the weather on the ocean, right?
If a school of fish comes and helps us out, then I'll say that he did something.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. So, I suppose is Weather Witch the life path? Is it like a female only thing in the brain wheel thing, or is it just called that?
I believe so. That's my book.
Because I don't really have a preference either way, so I'll probably just go with whatever the book seems to imply about that. Let's see, Seafaring, Weather Witch. It doesn't have to be a female. Augur is one of the life paths that can get you there, but the other ones are kind of either way. I like the idea of this being like some sort of cranky old lady, though, right? I know, poor Finn is crying in the background.
Yep.
So like a cranky old lady. I'm thinking the kind of she could be considered like, the hagger crone stereotype, but probably has a bit more of sturdiness about her than most stereotypes along those lines would run, because she's, been on a ship her whole life, has probably helped swab the decks and whatever, has kept in good shape. Isn't kind of hunched over or anything. She's just like a kind of strong, sturdy, stocky woman who, casts the auguries and prays to halt the storms and whatnot, keeps the ship safe. And she's probably, I don't know, just sitting on the deck doing something. Not sure exactly. Maybe just some sort of augury based thing, but I'm not sure what that might be. Whether it's like bones or dice or cards or whatever. Not actually sure what we've had in the past for that sort of thing. But probably not important. She's putting it away in her little Weather Witch kit as you come up on the ship. And she takes one look at you and just like groans in disgust. And just says, "Joe, sir, you again? I thought I got rid of you when we got to Setkiss."
Well, that is the thing. You have successfully gotten rid of me. I am back, and I am a new man, completely different guy.
Oh, so you worship Pyrrhus now? Wonderful! I love that you've seen the light, as it were.
No, I have not changed my loyalties. I'm simply a new man, not a new creation. However, someone recently told me that the sun looks best when glinting off the sea, and I am inclined to agree.
She's just frowning at you. She says, "What are you here for, Joe, sir? I don't hand out favors. You know that."
Well, no, I'm well aware of that. But I was thinking that perhaps we have a mutual enemy.
I just realized I haven't given a name to this person, so I'm trying to generate one real quick here. Let's see. Poor Finn is not having a good time.
Not happy.
He is being naughty, so
yeah.
He does not need pity.
Let's see.
It's okay, I get it.
I'll try to mute myself when I'm not talking. Oh, to chat just. So I think her name is going to be Demetria. And sorry, you asked something and then I was distracted.
I he just said, "Yeah, we have." I mentioned the sun glinting off the sea thing, and then said, "Besides, this is less about. This is more about mutual enemy. Oh, well, not really an enemy, but someone we both don't agree with." And more to the point, is not particularly helpful to Sinia at the moment.
What is not particularly helpful to Sinia at the moment?
I don't know.
That's me asking, not her. I think I lost the thread of the conversation.
Basically, he's trying to say, we hate each other, but we also dislike this other guy. So,
sure. Yeah. Okay.
Enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Right. She's like, "I can tell you're leading up to something, Joe, so just get to the point. I'm an old woman. I don't have time for this. I could drop dead at any moment."
As if. We all know you're super young. You put on your graces, but we all know better. No, look, I was wondering if you were headed towards Coyotes anytime soon.
Not if I can help it.
It is not your favorite place to be?
I don't think it's anyone's favorite place to be. Maybe not even the Gyrodesians.
Not exactly. It is not my favorite place to be either. That's why I'm asking you if you want to go.
And what's in it for me, Joser? What is this even about, anyway?
There is a Sinian boy that is there that I want retrieved and brought back.
And you're asking me to do this?
Yes.
I'm not going to traipse across. I'm not going to traipse across their island to find a boy.
Well, I can tell you where he is. That is not a problem.
And she just like raises her eyebrows as if to like, okay, go on.
The location, I believe, is... Well, they'll be looking into... I will tell you the exact location as soon as I find out. The sun shines on all the good places. I'm sure I can tell you where he is.
She's just shaking her head, just like, so you don't know where he is. You're just making things up, as usual.
You know what? I didn't want to do this right in front of you, woman, but I will. Hang on. Let me just do something weird. And he like looks up in the sun.
Right. Right.
Hello, sun. Me again. Yes, no gold this time. Just a woman. So I guess he'll attempt the question one of like, where exactly is Ben Asher at the moment?
And this is astrology.
Yeah.
And that's Ob 4, yes, the ask a question.
Yep. Ask a question, get an answer.
Yes, indeed. All right, go for it.
I'm going to do the open-end faith attempt again, simply just because she is giving me sass.
Got it. It would be pretty embarrassing if you failed to
know. Be, yes.
So.
But also possibly trait point worthy. So
yeah.
So he looks up. Immediately gets the touched by an angelic halo light thing, just to sass her. Mm-hmm. And then yes, he'll astrology it up, the usual doctrine, symbology,
sure.
Anticipation.
Classic forks.
And base ups go for.
Very good.
On the money.
Even though you're not asking for gold, it is still right on the money. So you get the answer back that he's in the estate of one General Spiridon, right?
Yeah, and so he looks back, waves his hand slightly to wave away the sweat. Says, yes, General Spiridon's house. Up in the mountains.
She frowns. It's like
you take the first 3 lefts and then a sharp right. Can't miss it.
Joser, do you want to tell me what all of this is about? Or are we going to keep bandying words?
I mean, I've told you what it's about. There is a boy I want him to retrieve.
Who's the boy? Why do you need him? Why do you need me, particularly?
Demetria, when have I ever done anything that makes sense?
Never. But that's why
exactly.
I want to finally
so why
get
you
to the bottom
reasons?
of it.
There are no reasons.
I'm sick and tired of it.
I'm just wanting to help out the Sinians. I've already done so much. It feels weird to stop now.
How am I supposed to know who this boy looks like?
Well, weirdly enough, his features look oddly like a combination between Malekith's and Maya's. If you combine those two into a boy, very young boy,
fine. You want their son. I get it. I heard something about this. Why do you expect me to be able to do this? If he's in the house of General Spiridon, is he being kept prisoner there? I'm not just going to be able to march in and grab him.
No, I'm actually kind of surprised he is with General Spiridon. I was presuming he would be with someone else, but perhaps a storm was more effective than I imagined. No, I simply want you to go there and make sure nothing terrible happens to him. And, if possible, get them back here.
And what's in it for me, Joser? Let's say you do give me the details I actually need to pull this off, and I go to Kyrides, even though it's completely the wrong season for it. What's in it for me?
Well, first of all, the seasons... I thought you were the servant of the god of the sea. I thought the seasons shouldn't be a problem. Or is the weather troubling you?
She's just rolling her eyes.
Well, not to mention the fact that I'm sure that the leadership would be grateful that you returned the boy. I am willing to offer you 2 things. First of all, before I say what the 2 things are, we may disagree on many things, Demetria, but I respect you. It is the god you serve who I think is overrated. But the 2 things I'm willing to offer. First of all, I am willing to offer you... and he thinks for a moment. I am willing to offer you my personal assurances that you will have 1 big favor and 1 small favor from me.
She's just like, this is not starting out very well.
Hmm?
What's the
Of
second
course.
thing?
Can I make an anticipation wise to know what she would want?
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's a very apt reason to use that wise. Or situation in which it would be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say 3 anticipation wise.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what's called astrology is going into it.
Mm-hmm.
But is there anything else that would church politics wise be?
Sure.
fitting?
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. To know what she would want. It's not like a religious history. It's just her. So
No.
I won't add that. So 1, 2 forks into it.
Yeah, seems likely.
Yeah, we'll go with those 2 forks. Dupe and base ob 3.
Very good.
Oh yeah.
Geez, I don't know. I don't even know who this character really is, right? We just made her up.
You said you wanted to circle up new cool NPCs.
I know. Because like the thing with her is like she's just like not expecting she's going to be able to accomplish this, right? She's like, how am I going to even do this in the first place? So it would have to be something pretty monumental for her to consider this, because she basically right now views this as an impossibility for her to accomplish. So I mean, it would probably be something like converting to the Church of Pyrrhus or something, right? But obviously, Joseph's not going to do that.
No.
So how about she does? So this is you knowing what it is. So
yeah,
what if? I think the thing that comes to your mind is she is a tired old woman who wants to be done working, right? So you promise her an estate on the outskirts of Sinia when this is all over, or if that's not a possibility, an estate on the outskirts of Setkis, like get the nobles that you know to give her land and like a pension for the rest of her life, then she's set. She'll try anything.
Yeah.
So basically, she just wants to be comfortable and rich.
Yeah, he says the first, like he says the first 2, and then he says, as for the second thing, in addition to the simple favors, I promise that when this job is done, I will make it my personal mission to make sure you are well cared for the rest of your life.
And now's the roll, right? Because it's like convincing her that you have the capability of following through on these promises. Yep. You have persuasion.
I do.
You do. Very good. I think it's probably just a persuasion. I don't think it's any of the other skills you have here. But you can probably fork some of them in. You can get that linked test there for the anticipation wise.
Yep.
You can fork in astrology, obviously. Let's see. Maybe soothing platitudes.
Yeah.
Seems you've been using that the whole time. At least those. I don't know if you have an argument for any others. Because you're not lying about anything, right?
No.
You're not really making a speech.
Thing. Yeah.
You haven't even really presented her a logical argument. It's all about persuasion. So yeah, that seems it to me.
Yep.
Let's just say her. I don't know what a weather witch's will would be. It would be either 4 or 5. Let's go with 5 because she's a old lady who's not really. she's probably have a good will, at least above average. Yeah, let's say op 5.
Yeah. It's going to be a difficult test of my persuasion. Keep that. Let's say 1, 2, 3. Sorry, which were our folks again? Soothing platitudes.
Astrology. You get the help die for anticipation wise there.
Persuasion.
And then
persuasion maybe.
No, I thought there was something else besides that. Oh, maybe that was it. I don't think suasion. You haven't actually presented her with like an immortal soul sort of situation here.
Yeah, it was more the sun glistening on the sea thing. We can actually work together as religious,
right? And you can't. Yeah, but suasion particularly is about like she needs to do something because it's in the best interest of her immortal soul, which is not really the situation here. So I think it's just it's anticipation wise, soothing platitudes and astrology.
Yes. Cool. Yep. I put in persona, but then kind of want my persona for other things at the moment, like finding out my past. So we'll just go with that. No other. And then base obstacle is...
I was looking at Chad's Artha today, and I realized that... Oh, no. Well, you have 2 6s.
Yeah.
He has like a bajillion fate points and persona points, so I need to get him into a duel of wits as quickly as possible so that he can burn some of those off. It's way too much Artha.
I will
because all he rules is persuasion, and then he makes the roll, so he doesn't need to use them.
Exactly, yeah. I think I'm going to have that situation with the general be a duel wits. I think that'll be a good time to do it. I think
I will spend 2 fate on it.
Go for it. So 3 dice altogether.
Nope.
Oh, yikes! That was bad. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So I think she's gonna say, Joser, I can tell that you're sincere about this, but I have to tell you, I'm not cut out for this. You've come to the wrong person. I want to help you, but I just can't. I can't go traipsing into Kyrides and try to rescue this boy, but I think I might know someone who could. And then we just like cut the scene there, and she'll like introduce you to someone who you'd have to convince this person, right? Like, so there's still like failure condition here, but she's kind about it. She's not just like, go away. She's like, I can tell this is a true request, but I'm just not up to it. But I might know someone who is.
Yeah. And I think Joseph like literally says, that is very true, Demetria. For the first time with you, I think I am the most sincere I have been. If this person can do it for me, I promise that you will still receive my favors. No favors necessary. This boy is in trouble. Yeah. Well, so at least I can do that. Good deeds do not go unrewarded. At least not in the Church of Hakia.
She doesn't really respond. It's still kind of, you can see in her eyes, she's like, no.
Besides, I'd feel guilty if an old woman died on the sea because of me.
I was born on the sea, I'll die on the sea. That's how it's supposed to be.
Now that's the worst part. You'll die on a boat. It's worse.
Well, then Pyrrhus's fishes can have me in Circle of Life,
Fair enough.
Now, get out of here. I'll send a letter when I've set up the meeting.
Very well, Demetria. Smooches.
She probably like says some vulgar swear word at you as you walk away. Cool. Yeah. So Carly said she's down to do the next scene here because Finn now has his milk. So I think we'll cut over to Avra. So I was thinking, I was really struggling trying to figure out what to do with the whole Avra arc that were going on here, because I realized the last time we did Avra stuff that like I had set up this like impossible situation where Caledon is like constantly been turned down by all of these merchant lords, and he's really stuck and he doesn't know what to do, and anything that him and Citus would cook up probably doesn't have a lot to do with Avra. And so I was thinking through some stuff and trying to solve that issue and talking with Carly a little bit about it. I think I came up with a good idea to kind of tie in some stuff with Avra's beliefs and get us into a good place to go, as opposed to just like having Caledon go around and keep talking to people. So I think we cut into a meeting between Avra, Citus, and Caledon, right? So Avra's gone bird shopping and then come back, and Citus and Caledon have cooked up a plan. And Citus is presenting this to you, Avra. And Caledon's there nodding the whole time, and Citus says, Caledon has been here for a few months now, trying to talk to the various merchant lords of Nema, and has had remarkably little luck. The issue is that the balance of power is too tightly wound here. We can't pry just one of the merchants to send their mercenary armies to Sinia, even for the promise of gold. And we certainly can't unite them, and certainly the three of us alone can't unite them to some common cause and get them to work together. That's far beyond even my capabilities. But the merchant lords aren't the only ones who have mercenaries in Nema. There is a group up in the mountains to the north of here. They have a fortress in the mountains, and they are considered the most dangerous, most high risk, high reward type mercenaries in the region. The merchant lords pay them to do the jobs that their mercenaries won't touch. And I need to come up with a name for them real quick. Group name. Let's see here. These are all kind of dumb. The Ceaseless Bears. The Champions of Champions. Man, this generator's not giving me its best. League is a good word. Yeah, let's go with this one. Okay, they're called the Brass League. And Citus says this to you, Avra. They're called the Brass League, and they are ruled by a vicious and what's the word you would say here? A incredibly competent and vicious warrior who goes by the name let's see. Generating a bunch of names here. this one? It goes by the name Beirut. Now, we don't exactly know whether or not they'll be up to this sort of thing, but it seems like our best option right now. The sort of jobs they've taken in the past are not quite to the scale of saving Sinia from certain destruction, but they are close. They've taken trips to Darkside, to Tartuit itself, and live to tell the tales. I don't really know the validity of that story or exactly how far they went into the dark side of the planet, but they brought back with them an artifact, a black stone, that confirms at least part of the story for me. They are probably our best option right now. The issue is actually getting there is a bit of an issue. They are far into the mountains, and you need special guide birds to make your way through the labyrinth of rock up there. Now, this you can hire guides to go up into the mountains. But I wanted to ask you, Avra, I know you lost Alikos in what happened back in Sinia, but is this something that you're... I'm trying to think of how he would phrase it.
I'll give you a second, because I think Finn needs to go potty.
Okay, sounds good. I think he was going to like ask something about like... Because like I don't know if they would rely on Avra. I want Avra to be able to get back into bird stuff, but I don't know if they wouldn't necessarily rely on Avra to have to do this herself with a bird or whatever. But I think Situs will probably ask her something along the lines of, maybe you'll have a chance to learn from this guide as well, and if because he wants to encourage you with the bird stuff, but I'm struggling to try to think of how you would say it. Yeah, I'm really drawing a blank here. For some reason, my brain is just not coming up with dialogue. I'm trying to remember what he even said at this point, because everything was so disjointed. There's a guy that we can hire to go up in the mountains, and I guess he just asks, I know that you recently went into the marketplace looking for a bird of your own, yes?
She just nods.
Yeah. Well, maybe this guide will have some more information on good birds. If you were still looking to get a new one.
Of course.
And I think he says, or I think Celadon speaks up at that point and says, and you coming with us, it won't just be so you can talk to birds, though I'm sure that will be pleasant enough. Your position as the Princess of Sinia is still incredibly valuable, trying to convince anyone to do what we need them to do in Sinia. You being here and giving them assurances that we can actually offer what we're offering is going to be invaluable. Is that something you're up to, Avra? It'll be a bit of a hike into the mountains, but I think it's our best option.
Yes, of course. That sounds like it's our only option, really.
I think so. And then Situs says, Have you had any more dreams, Avra?
Have I?
Maybe. I don't know. I hadn't had any particular ideas, but you're usually having dreams pretty regularly. I didn't have any particular ideas off the top of my head. I was still trying to figure out the problem of what to do with how to hire mercenaries and stuff, so I didn't think too much about the Avra dream stuff. So we can probably maybe just say that Avra hasn't had any new dreams. And so maybe you say that, and the scientist basically just says, while we're on the road, we can still be looking through the Irida and try to figure out more of what might be ahead of us. Yeah, so I think it's probably just like you guys head into the mountains sort of a thing, right? And you're like hiring a guide, heading to this mercenary group, and you're gonna have to talk to them to try to figure out what's going on there. Is there anything that you wanted to do in the city before you guys left to do this?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and roll for. Okay, so part of the issue is that you will have to hire a guide, and Caledon has a resources of 2, and he's taxed by 1 right now. So this isn't going to be super great. Let me check Citus' character sheet. I wonder if he has resources. I forgot who this character was. Yeah, he has resources of 8. Though I'm not. The thing is, I'm not sure that he he just brought a bunch of money with him or whatever, and he's on a different planet than he usually is. So
probably
I don't know.
Doesn't have the right kind of currency.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he does. So I'm not sure he can bring that to bear in this situation. He's certainly good at managing money, but I don't think he has any. So does Avra have resources? I think she does, right?
I don't think so. I don't know. I can't check my character sheet right now. I don't have the.
I'll look. Yeah, you have a 2 in resources and you're not taxed. So if you make the roll and Caledon helps you, you probably will be able to pay for this guy. Let me take a look at what that might be.
No. No. Drink it. Drink it.
Let's see. Aha. A trained falcon is Ob 4. So I assume it's probably around that. Maybe Ob 3, because you're just renting, not buying. So I think what we'll say is, I think we can say that Citus can help you guys with this role, right? He has resources and knows how to buy things, right? He has a good management of resources, but he doesn't have any cash on him to bring to bear, but he can at least help, I think. So if you want to make that roll, but I can make it for you if you can't bring up your sheet. Let's find that. Okay, so resources of 2, help from Caledon and help from Citus. So 3 dice in help. Oh, hey, Avra, you have 4 cash dice. I don't know how that happened, but you do.
Me either.
Yeah. Do you want to use any of that? Right now you're rolling 5 dice against Op 3.
It was because Avra had that 1 die debt or loan that she needed to pay off, and so you kept winning competitions to pay off the debt, but never actually paid off the debt.
Oh, that's true.
You just
luckily for you,
I don't think it matters
the debt
now, though.
doesn't matter. At least until you go back to Sinia, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, you could use that if you want. You still have 2 dice of debt, but
I don't know. Would that make it easier?
certainly. We can look at odds here. So burning wheel dice. 5 dice against Ob 3 is 50% chance of success without any
Okay, yeah, I'll use it then.
How many of those dice would you like to use?
I don't know. How much do they increase the chances?
1 to 1. So you have 4 dice of cash that you can use. And each one of them that you spend, they're going to go away. Like they're spent to do this, but succeed or fail. But they'll give you an extra die for each of them you spend.
Okay, I'll just do 1.
Sounds good. Take that off. And we will roll. Would you like to spend a persona? You have 2 of them.
Sure.
Sounds good. And base op 5. Oh no, that was such a bad roll.
No.
Yikes. Well, okay. You got a difficult resources roll, which is what you did need that. You have a 6 and you have 5 fate to work with, so you could spend 2 fate and like risk it on a long shot. You'd have to get a bunch of successes still. What would you like to do?
I don't know.
I think failure in this instance is going to be. I think we talked about this already. I think maybe this will be the failure if you go with a failure, is you can buy him, and he'll come with you, but he'll die in a rock slide very early on in the trip, right? And you'll lose him almost immediately, and then we'll do that thing that we talked about, right? If that's down with you.
Yeah.
That's kind of dramatic, right? I like the idea of that being what happens. So, and then what we see, right, is this kind of montage of getting ready and prepping for the trip. This guy, dark skin like most of the Nemans are. He doesn't say much, but he nods to you guys and leads you up into the mountains. Situs and Celadon have gotten some supplies, and you don't have like pack animals or anything. You're just kind of hiking into the mountains a bit here. But you have some supplies that you're bringing. And everything is going well for about the first day, right? And then I think it's something along the lines of just like a rock slide or an avalanche or something along those lines happens in this like twisting labyrinth of a pass that leads up into the mountains here. And it's like one of those things where Situs is like a very powerful character, right? And can protect you guys from that sort of thing, right? From anything too bad happening. But the guide gets killed. And so your resources are spent. You've paid this money, but now you don't actually have the guide to work with. And you're not taxed or anything. Or I think so. Typically, it would be like I give you the thing, and then you're taxed. But in this case, I'm not giving you the thing, right? But it's framed in such a way that's a little bit more dramatic than just you don't have money. Either way, I don't think you get taxed or your resources go down or whatever for that, but your cash checks go away. And so this avalanche happens in the mountains, right? And Situs, we maybe even see, right? Avra and maybe Celadon's not in the path of the rock slide. But Avra is, and Avra's like standing there like about to be clobbered by the thing, and then we see Situs like summon his like magic sword out of nowhere and like slice a bunch of the rocks in half, and like they like start obliterating and scatter around, right? And Avra's like, oh man, thanks, you saved me. And everybody looks over, and the guide is just like buried under an avalanche, right? And he's dead, but his bird is still alive, right? And we see his bird like squawking and screeching, poking at the rocks, right? And it's like this really kind of sad sight where the bird's like, oh my gosh, my master's dead. This is like, no, are you still alive? And like pecking at his hand, sort of a thing. And then we like the camera kind of pans over to Avra, and Celadon and Situs look at you, Avra. And Situs probably says, we still need a guide through the mountains. I've been told that the falcons are the primary reason that people can navigate up here. Something about their nesting patterns. Could you I'm just for some reason I'm having a hard time like figuring out how to frame these.
That's okay. Can we come back to this later anyway? Because I need to
Sure.
into bed.
Yeah.
He's starting to get fussy.
Yeah, so I think we just get this kind of setup for what's going to happen with Aver next, which is she's going to have to talk to the bird, right, and do some falconry tests or whatever, and the bird's going to be obstinate and be like, no, you're not my master or whatever, but they're still going to have to make their way through the mountains. They're already like a day into the trip, and they don't really know how to get back, and so it's going to be this thing that Aver will have to step up and do. So let's go over and cut over to Maya then. What is Maya up to? I'm sure there's plenty of stuff that Maya's up to, but...
So I have 2 ideas. One is going to the Church of Hagiel and talking to the priest and getting a lesson in mythology.
Okay. Sure.
About the relationship between my god and your god.
Ah, yes. I see. Okay.
I would love to be educated.
Yeah, and this could probably be framed like you've been sending volunteers and stuff, right, to help the church already. So maybe you're just coming as a volunteer, right, with other people. Mm-hmm. And as you're helping pass out food, right, the bishop is alongside you helping, and maybe he starts the conversation by just saying, Maya, so good to see you. Thank you again for helping out with the poor and needy of Setkis.
It's my pleasure. Like I said, we are indebted to you, and you fed us, so it's only fit that we would help to feed your people as well, or help to feed your people as well.
Yes. We all try to do what we can in the light of Hagiel.
And Pyrrhus, yes.
Well, I don't know if Pyrrhus has any light to speak of, but yes, sure. The sea wind, the sea air of Pyrrhus fills our nostrils as we do his works. Sure.
Yes. So, you're not quite like Joser, where you are totally against Pyrrhus, it seems.
Joser has his particular views on the situation, yes. In theory, we honor all of the gods, but Hagiel is our patron, and we follow him and his teachings.
Of course. So, I understand, and correct me, I'm not a very religious woman, but
no, I see the trait on your character sheet.
I don't think she was until recently.
Yeah.
She did her tithes and stuff, she went to church with her husband back in the day. But she just says, I'm a bit rusty on the histories of... I understand that they were brothers, yes?
Yes. The pantheon of gods, I'm trying to think of what they would call the most important gods, if they'd have a particular term they'd use for them, but I think he would
the
probably
hierarchy.
He'd probably just name them. He'd just be like, yes. Hagiel, Seraphim, Autotos, and Pyrrhus, all brothers, ruling the pantheon of gods together.
The brothers get along.
It depends on what stories you hear. There are stories in which the gods work together to do mighty wonders, and others in which they squabble, and... the gods in some ways are not so different from us. They have their petty squabbles, and their broken relationships, and their betrayals.
Is there perhaps any petty squabbles that you've heard of between Pyrrhus and Hagiel specifically?
May I ask, Maya, why you are asking this question?
Well, it just seems that
You do not want to stir up trouble between the churches, do you?
No, if anything, I mean to mend the two. Especially with Joser and you see, I'm trying to understand him more, I suppose.
I see. Do you want to make a roll here, right?
Maybe falsehood. Is that what this is?
Oh, if you're right, because this is actually about they're both
Like,
gods, and I have to. Yeah.
Like I'm trying to like make because I eventually want them to like work together. But if they have like some beef, I want to like help squash it, kind of.
Yeah, and I think failure here. It's not like he's not gonna tell you anything about it. It's just that he's sort of weirded out by your motives here. He thinks you might have bad motives, and maybe doesn't give you the right information that like the information that would actually be helpful to you. Right. So yeah, you can make a falsehood here. Makes sense. Let's see. Did I make a character sheet for this guy?
You were using one of the sheets for.
Yes. Oh yeah. I just have a hierarchy sheet or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Okay. His will is 5. So that is your ob.
Man. All right.
But if you have some forks.
Yeah, I think I've got a couple, possibly.
Soothing platitudes, I think makes sense.
Platitudes. Family secret wise.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Because even if it's not the secret that your husband is a god, it's the family secrets of the gods and their squabbles as brothers, right?
Right. Persuasion?
Sure. Yep.
Okay. That might be the only other thing I could think of is etiquette, because I'm like helping, like I'm like volunteering.
Sure. Yeah, and I could think more along the lines of you're framing this as, I want to know the right etiquette. Like we need to know what's the word?
I want to know like how I can like help mend the
mend the rift. Yeah. That makes sense.
Okay, so I've got 4 forks.
Drama wise, I think is actually another one you could fork here, right?
Oh, okay.
Drama between the brothers, right?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I'll take it. Okay, 5 and 5. Ooh,
oh, man, bad rolls all around today.
Bad rolls. Okay, well, I do have a call-on trait for this.
That's true. I'm trying to remember. Oh man. I'm trying to remember the order that it wants you to do this in. Do you remember, Josh? Do we call on first or fate first?
I believe it's call on first, because then if there's still a failed die, you can re-roll it with the fate.
Mm-hmm.
What have you?
That makes sense. Yeah.
I believe.
Let's do that first then.
Because I'm kind of wondering if I should, because Maya might try to use falsehood again this session, and I'm like, I don't want to waste my call on necessarily.
That's true. Yeah, I think you probably have to choose then, right? You're either doing fate or but if you do call on first, you can still use fate if you fail that.
Right.
If you spend
I don't know.
I
feel like Maya doesn't really use falsehood a ton. Like she's good at it. She's certainly a good liar, because she's a good actor, of course. But I don't think she's necessarily going to be using lying as her angle to get like these guys to get together. So I think if anything, I'll just be persuasion-y as always. So I will use my call-in trait. So how do I do that?
So we just got to count up the extra dice here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 failed dice on that roll.
So just roll like fate.
I would just
7.
Actually, probably not, because that's going to automatically re-roll the 6s, which is not something that's happening necessarily. So I would just do, slash roll, space 76, and then do a greater than 4 at the end of it.
Sure. 76 greater than
4. Yeah.
Now wait, which way is greater than?
So the wide portion should be pointing towards the left. To the left.
Okay. Left. Okay. I'm like, alligator, which way?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one with the wider end is going toward the
my god!
Whoa, that was such a bad roll.
I have literally rolled 17 dice
and still not gotten 5 successes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I guess I'm going to use a fate.
So you can use 1 or 2, right? You can still reroll one of those failed dice as well as the 6 if you want to.
At this point, I might as well go all in.
Yeah.
What the heck?
That's
I guess
really
I'm going to use 2.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even roll any more 6s. That's the insane part too. What? Seriously, this should have been an easy
It
roll.
should have been an easy roll, yeah.
This is the beautiful yet terrifying part about this game.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Okay,
the
2
game
dice.
just says, nope. No way. 19 dice.
19 dice.
Yeah, man. Okay.
I just want to know what the percentage of that likely.
Yeah.
was
Let's
that
do
I
it.
failed
So
that roll.
19 dice.
Against an odd
1% chance that you failed that roll.
Literally a 1% chance.
1 out of 100 that you got that roll. Man. Okay, yeah. So,
well, I'm upset.
Yeah. Make sure you mark the fate that you spent at least.
That is very upset. I don't think I've ever been more upset about a roll, not even because I care about the outcome that much, but because I just should have gotten it.
Yeah.
You know?
Like if you had rolled let's see. Wait. If you've been rolling, let's see, 20. If you've been rolling 21 dice, it would have been a functionally 100% chance of getting it right. But there's still the possibility that you could have failed because of the way this works. Man, that's so bad. Okay,
I'm in disbelief right now.
So, he just says,
"Wow."
Yeah, so I think the idea is he knows a story, right? But he thinks that you knowing the squabble they had will just make it worse, right? And he's like, no, it's better if you don't know that there's any beef between them. And so he basically just says, no, as far as, I mean, there have been squabbles between Orotos and Pyrrhus and Hagiel and Seraphim, but none that I can think of between Hagiel and Pyrrhus specifically.
You're a liar.
He is a liar.
Priests are not supposed to lie.
I know. And I think, like, in theory, he might have to roll here, but I think it's just part of the failure, right? It's like, you believe his lie, and there's nothing really to do there.
Or maybe not believe it, but just like, okay, maybe he
you can't really press it.
No,
right?
I just can't. Like, I'm not going to press it any further. Okay, yeah, I got it. Out of courtesy.
Mm-hmm, exactly. It seems like the bad etiquette thing to do, to try to say you're lying or whatever. Yeah. So he gives all nice smiles and whatever, but it just doesn't give you any information. So that is definitely the worst roll.
Screenshot that for your YouTube.
Yeah. That is definitely the worst roll in the entire campaign so far. Right there.
I'm so mad.
What else does Maya want to do?
She was gonna go to her playwright friend and make a proposal.
Okay. Yeah.
But if we want, because I just had something.
Well, yeah, but it was kind of short though, so I figure we just keep going with Maya, and then we can jump back over to Joser.
That's fine.
I'm trying to think what.
So, do I need to roll her again? Is that what I need to do?
Yeah, I think you do. Yeah, that makes sense. You get a +1 die, I think, right?
Marius, yeah.
Demarius, yeah.
Demarius.
So yeah, go ahead and make a circles with an extra advantage there.
Okay.
And do we remember what the roll was last time to find her?
I don't know.
Because it was same life path.
Yeah, same life path, specific knowledge. So I believe it was
2,
but
yeah, we'll go with 2. That makes sense.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So odd 2, and then you get an extra die, and you can get your Hopsteph Society dice as well.
The patron of the arts.
Yeah.
Dice. Okay. Cool. So
or do you have patron of the arts as reputation?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so you can get that and your Hopsteph Society affiliation.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
That's what that is. It's
right. I forgot
the society
about that.
you're both a part of. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I scrolled up. It's 2.
Cool.
Okay. So 3. Oh no. Wait. Yes. The Hopsteph.
Yeah, Hopseth,
plus one
reputation,
dice.
+1.
And okay, so 3. So 3 dice. I'm rolling extra on top of my 3 that I already have.
I swear if you failed this roll. There you go.
And this one, no problem.
Yeah,
sure, fine, whatever.
no
That's cool. All right,
Cool.
so mark another bubble for her, correct?
Yep, for circles, yep.
Her, okay.
Yeah, once you get that filled up, based on what it says, the number you have to get.
7.
Yeah. Because it's based on your will. It's like 10 minus your will.
Based on your circles, I believe.
Or
10, it's not 10 minus my will. My will's like a 6.
Okay, then maybe your circles. Then.
Yeah, it's 10 minus 3 for circles.
Got it.
Oh, that makes sense.
Cool. Yeah, so I think you find
I got another routine. Okay.
Yep. You probably find her in let's say she's at her like apartment or whatever she has, right? This time. This is a new place, we haven't seen her. And she's, hard at work on another manuscript, writing a new play or whatever. And you stop in for a chat, and she, quickly acts the hostess and offers you tea and whatever, right? And you guys sit down, she says, "So, what do I owe? To what do I owe the pleasure, Maya?"
Well, first I owe you my thanks for setting me up with your friend.
Well, he's not my friend, but he has done good work for people in the past who are in dire straits. So I hope that works out for you.
Thank you. I really do appreciate it. And really, I promise I have come here mostly for my thanks. But I did have another idea as to, how we can keep our acquaintance.
Of course, I would love to hear it.
Our people are on hard times, and I have always thought that the arts is a great way to lift other people's spirits. As long as it's not a tragedy.
A tragedy, yes. Well, sometimes sometimes a good tragedy can let you get out the emotions that have been haunting you,
True. Or to realize that your own tragedies are not so bad.
Indeed.
I was actually working on a play before I left our town.
Of course.
With,
Oh.
He who should not be named.
Mm-hmm.
And I really would like to see the play come to fruition, even though it wasn't able to be done.
I have to say one thing up front. Sophocles, I don't want to see the man again. So if this...
Oh, you won't have to.
Very good.
I understand. Trust me, I never want to see him again. I've kept him far too busy with volunteer work to even be part of this. So
yeah, we do a quick hard cut, and he's just like grumbling to himself in an apron or something, right? Having to hand out gruel to peasants.
Yeah, pretty much. And it really was my idea, not his. So we can rework it however you'd like to. But I was thinking maybe some sort of charity event to raise funds, and of course, like, you would be paid through this, but the rest of the funds could go towards our people, and to help support us as we get ready to go back home, hopefully in the next few weeks.
I see. Well, I certainly think that the aristocrats would be happy to hear that you're planning on making your way back to Sinia. I think it really does depend on how it's all framed. And is this something that needs to be written still, or?
Well, it could be reworked, certainly. I mean, it was mostly written by Sophocles. So
yes, I'm sure it will need to be reworked slightly. We'll have to take out anything involving a young woman and a randy old man, I suppose. I assume there's at least one scene like that.
It's possible.
Specifically mentioned in campaign that he was adding extra scenes to a go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's primarily about a young hero, though, and it's supposed to be a very hopeful story.
Well, we can all use a little hope nowadays, can't we?
Yes. The way I'd like to frame it to the aristocrats is that it's a charity event, so to speak. You know how these people love to puff themselves up and throw money at things to make themselves feel better.
Certainly,
about
of course.
their
Usually
station in
it's
life.
just to each other, but I can see you saying, given that you are a visiting dignitary, I'm sure they can make an exception.
Certainly. So that's how I'd like to frame it, but I'm open to ideas.
No, that sounds fine to me. I suppose I'll just need to look over the script and we'll have to figure out, well, someone is going to have to be a patron, the patron of this thing. We'll need somewhere to host it, and usually that's going to have to go through one of the hierarchs. But I think I might have someone in mind who might be, what's the word? You might have proclivities in this area. A patron of the arts, as you were.
Excellent. I would love to hear it if you are willing to help, because this really would be a reflection on you as well if you're willing to help us.
Well, Sophocles isn't completely brain dead when it comes to writing scripts, and with my revisions, it probably would turn out very well.
I think that's the most kind thing you've ever said about him.
Please don't tell him.
I won't.
Sure, Maya. You know what? That sounds wonderful. I honestly have been completely stressed out trying to finish this one anyway. This will be a great excuse to take a break from the one I'm writing currently. How about you go ahead and have someone send it over, and I'll give it a look over, and we'll see what we can do with it.
Excellent. I will do that.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, well, how would I real quick? I'll just make a playwright roll for her, right?
Okay.
And we'll see, like...
Would that be composition?
I think there's like an actual...
Is there an actual
playwright skill, if I remember correctly? Yes, because she has it at Ob6 or at Exponent 6. So I want to have her roll this to read it over and provide any revisions. And this will be kind of like our starting state for how good the play is, how easy it will be to get whoever on board to like host the thing.
Right. That could probably help out if it's a good play. Then they'll be
Indeed,
like, oh my God, we have to make this into a play. Yes, absolutely.
All right, let's see what she has for fork. She can do...
Oh, it is a win. Oh, okay.
Composition as a fork. Drama-wise, obviously. Noble-wise, given the content of the play. And write. Actually, probably read, too.
Yeah, she's got to read it over.
There's a whole big process here, yeah. And then let me figure out what ob this might be. I don't know if I've ever looked at the playwright obs.
Looks like...
yeah, there's basically
religious
4.
or farce.
Pretty sure it's not that one.
It's probably a comedy, right?
Is it a comedy?
Well, comedy in the traditional sense, where everything happens happily in the end. I guess it could be historical or dramatic.
Maybe somewhere in the middle.
Because this is the story of the Ben Asher, the king who returns and saves everybody, right? I think it's a comedy, right? Because it's not even like a dramatic thing or a historical thing. This is like the way you framed it to me was hope, right? This is what it needs to be. It needs to be hope incarnate, and that's a comedy in the traditional Greek sense, right? Right? Because comedy means in the actual like play sense, that's what a comedy is. It's not haha funny. It's
I don't know. I'm kind of thinking more like a comedy is more like Midsummer Night's Dream, right? Where like there's not really like this feels like a very high stakes kind of a thing where it is more dramatic than...
It's dramatic, but the actual like comedy versus tragedy is whether or not they all die in the end or whether or not they all like live happily ever after in the end.
Right.
Right.
Okay. All right. That's fair.
Yeah. I think, and given the powerful thing that has to be, I think Ob4 makes sense.
Okay, all right.
She has a lot of dice to work with. That should be fine.
She get a helping die from me, possibly.
Sure. What skill would you want to offer?
Either acting or drama wise.
Drama wise, I think makes more sense because acting is the actual performing of it, not like
right. Yeah,
so
drama wise,
you can give her drama wise.
Be my only wise that I could.
And then I'll probably give her a helping die from Sophocles, right? Having done work on this in the past, right?
Worked on it.
Yeah, she's like he offered his dice to it as well at some point in the past.
Now, when I do a helping die, I get like a
You get a
check
test
for it.
based on your drama-wise versus the ob that she has to roll against, so ob 4. So whatever that would be for your
I think
drama-wise.
that's challenging.
Yeah, if it's above.
Well, I have
You have drama-wise at 3?
I have a 2. I have a 2.
Yeah, it's challenging then.
Okay, got it.
All right, here we go. Yeah, knocked it out of the park with like 5 6s to boot. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's what I needed earlier.
So Damaris just makes the best awesome play that has ever been made in this city, right? Like Sophocles' true brilliance, right? He's a brilliant playwright. He's just has all sorts of personal problems that get in the way of his brilliance. And her steadiness and like more sensible notions of how this should go make a masterpiece. And especially given the true kind of nature of this story and the kind of vibes you want it to invoke in the people, like this is going to do exactly what you want it to do. So yeah, we're
all the feel goods to give me all your money.
Yep. Could be because all the hierarchs and the other aristocrats in the city have definitely been talking about this Sinia problem, right? And like all the stories that have been coming from Sinia, I was like, wow, there's like a witch queen and the king died, and there's like this whole big thing. And the play was in the works before this anyway, right? So there was at least some rumors about a king that will come to save Sinia, right? Like I think it's already, there's some rumor somewhere that has started that will play right into this when you actually present it as a story. So I think we're in a good place for sure. Cool. Do we want to go to Joser or Avra?
I could probably do a scene.
Sounds good. Let's do it. So Avra, you were standing there. There's a body of a mountain guide, right? Just he's collapsed in a pile of rock, and his bird is sadly and tragically pecking at the one hand that is still sticking out of the rock pile. And you can speak bird, right? So you hear it basically saying like, no, this can't be right. You have to be moving. You can't be, no. That's what the bird is squawking as it like pecks at the hand. Citus just looks at you like, this is you, like raises an eyebrow like, oh, this is all you.
I feel awkward talking to a bird, but I also feel like Avra would feel awkward because she's like mostly used to just talking to Alikos, and so she's like, I don't know this bird very well. But
yeah, it's like the whole it's like no, you had a friend who was German, right? You must be able to talk to all Germans. It's like, no, I had the one friend who was German. And it's like you can't speak the language, but it's like I don't just go around talking to birds all the time.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, she probably just kind of. I mean, I assume we've like at least tried to like get him out of the rubble, like to make sure, like to see if he's actually
sure. Yeah, we can probably say that Citus, and that's what Citus and Caledon did immediately, right? Is they went over and tried to, and there's Citus puts his finger to the pulse or to his neck to feel for a pulse, and he just shakes his head and he says, "Not even my magic's going to be able to bring him back at this point. If Xanatos was here, maybe, but."
Yeah, I think she looks at the bird and says, "I'm sorry."
It like jerks his head to you and then says, "You speak."
I do.
But not like the monkeys. The gibbering monkeys.
Monkeys?
He's probably referring to you, like people.
Oh. No, I suppose not.
Then you were like, Master.
Yes.
And then it seems to like in the way that you understand bird facial expressions and body language and stuff, it kind of like backs away and frowns and like, I don't like you. Like this is weird. Like I think it says, I'm going to fly away now.
Yeah, she just says, no, please, we still need a guide through these mountains.
The bird looks back at the body and says, your guide is dead. And so go ahead and like give like an argument here, right? That you can, like, and then we can make a roll and stuff to try to keep the bird around.
Mm-hmm.
We can glance at your skills too to see how you would want to frame it, so you can actually like use a skill you're good at. You have oratory and soothing platitudes as your like social skills here. Though I suppose you could also just do falconry, right? Or I guess it would be animal husbandry, probably more to like, you know, be like, hey, you know, you should be attached to me, sort of. I know how to take care of birds. So any way you would want to frame it is fine with me. From those,
yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Because you can actually just talk to the bird, right? You can speak to them and stuff. So you can just roll oratory if you wanted to, or whatever. But or you know, you could frame it in like soothing platitudes, like, I'm so sorry what happened to your master, you know, but if you I'm not sure what you would say after that to, but taking that tone at least, right?
I don't have ugly truth, do I?
You do not. You're working on it. 3 tests away from learning it.
Because I kind of want to do something along the lines of like, if you fly away now, like, what are you gonna do? Whereas if you stay here and help us, you know, you'll be provided for. You won't have to fend for yourself, kind of thing.
Yeah, so you start saying that, and the bird
You'll have
says,
someone to talk to that will understand you.
Yeah. The bird says, you will feed me?
Yes.
Okay, I think make a soothing platitudes, and you can fork in.
Can you roll it?
Yeah. I think you can fork in animal husbandry, especially for the like, I'll feed you, I know how sort of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
What's the will of a bird?
Good question.
That's what I've been wondering this whole time.
Let me look at Alikos. I think hey, will too. I have a will in there for him. We'll go with that one. So I think you can fork in animal husbandry, falconry, and that's probably it. All right.
Animals.
Up to.
Pretty strong.
Hey, there you go. Cool. Yep. So 5 successes. Whoa. All of them were 6s.
Whoa.
Okay, again, I'd like to point out you only rolled 6 die and got 5 successes with a bunch of 6s. I rolled how many dice?
Yeah, I don't know if you missed it, Carly, but Alyssa rolled 19 dice and failed Ob 5 roll.
Why?
Yeah. Yeah, so you say that, and the bird like kind of hesitantly hops towards you, and this is like a falcon, right? So you had an eagle before. This is like a, you know, kind of mountain falcon. It's blue. It's mostly blue as opposed to Alikos being mostly white and with red. It's mostly blue, and then probably has white tinges at the end of its feathers. And it kind of hops over, and it says, what is your name? Master had a name. Yeah. And it says, it nods and it says, trying to generate a name for him. My name is Balthazar. At least that was the name given to me by my former master. Do you have food?
Would I actually have anything on me? I mean, I assume we have rations.
You have your guys' food. Yeah, I mean, you could also look through the body of the mountain guy.
Yeah,
right.
So probably do that first.
Yeah,
look through his bags.
You find some like scraps of like probably hair meat, right? Like mountain hares that are in this area, and you can throw one to Balthazar, and he scarfs it down, and then flaps goes onto your shoulder, right? And I think it says, or he says, Balthazar will stay with you for now.
I appreciate that.
And yeah, I think Citus like raises an eyebrow, like he seems to be taking a liking to you.
Well, as long as we have food, I think he'll be here.
Well, we should keep going then, I suppose. Don't want to run out of food. Yeah, and I think you guys like start trudging through the mountains, and let's have you make a roll, Avra, right? Because this guy had to use like falconry to like navigate the mountain passes and stuff, right? So, we'll have you make that roll. Let's take a look at falconry.
But we're gonna have to go back in to finish.
Yeah, that's fine. We can just make this roll, and then we can cut back over to Joser. I think it's going to be an ob 4. So it's like not any of the obs that are on this list, but it's a pretty difficult thing. Like these are like expert guides who have to, figure out a lot of this stuff with the falcons above and beyond what most falconers have to do. So I think it's going to be an ob 4 falconry test. You have a 5 in it. You can fork in, I think, hunting. And I'm not sure if animal husbandry itself comes into play in this role. Yeah, I think that might be it. It's just the one. Would you like to... You have a persona, but you only have one.
Does the soothing count as linked?
No. Oh, like that she succeeded on. I don't think so. I think it's just like that's what's allowing her to make the roll, right? Is like she has access to the bird now. Yeah, up to you. I mean, I wouldn't recommend spending your last persona on this, but it's technically an option.
I don't think I will.
Okay. All right. Ob 4, you're rolling 6 dice. Here we go.
Scared.
Whoa, nice. Right on the money.
Okay, good.
Very good, very good. I need to mark these. You have a routine on soothing platitudes and a routine on...
I'm really happy for you, Carly. I'm just a little bitter right now.
Cool. Yeah. So, Avra, you're probably fascinated by this, right? At a certain point, you probably like get into a good rhythm, and you start like your bird nerd starts coming out again because you're like, wow, it's fascinating. Like these birds have like this weird migratory nesting instinct, and that's what allows us to like figure out these mountain passes, because there's like certain places they nest and certain places that they don't, and by tapping into that like kind of instinctual knowledge, you can navigate this whole thing. And you guys head through the mountain passes to the mercenary enclave. And we'll cut over to Joser as they head into the mountains. What is next for you, Joser?
Probably at the end of Maya's glorious attempt, Joser walks into the church himself.
Okay.
And I don't know that he really like pays attention too much, but he does like turn to those around him, and he says, "Other reflectors of Al-Hagiel's light, I have much prayer to be done. I would ask you to join with me in lending your faith to me. I have many questions that must be answered in the current times. Many things I have been made aware of, and still others I need to be made aware of. If you would lend me your belief, I may find some answers to my questions."
Yeah, and you're talking to the bishop, or
I'm talking to like all the priests around.
All the priests in general, yeah.
Yeah, I'm wanting to get 2 help dice worth of faith. here, so that's like 40 will worth. So
Yeah.
If an average is like 4, then that's an additional like 8 people I need to be faithing with at the moment.
Yeah. I suppose that's probably a roll that you'll have to make to convince them. And you just say like, I need to answer this question. Do you give them any more details beyond that, or?
Good question.
Because I could also say this as an oratory.
I'm definitely probably angling for oratory.
Yep.
I'm just wondering, trying to work out how to word it, because
this also depends on like how Joser is seen by the priesthood too, right? I don't know if we've like actually established. Like, the bishop obviously I know that kind of tolerates you, but I don't know. Do we know what the other priests how they view?
I don't know.
Because you don't have a reputation among them. You have a 3-die affiliation, so you're certainly like in the ranks and whatnot. I'm just trying to think of like what makes sense. Like if this is like normal for Joser to just like come in and make a speech to all the priests and be like, gather up, we got some praying to do.
Well, I don't think that Joser actually asked them to distract from their own work.
Sure.
Like I go about your business. Like, in fact, Joser probably says that I do not need your attention. I do not need your efforts. I simply ask you to spare a thought for me as I pray. I've been made aware of more things of the past of our churches, and I am seeking answers as to the possible further interactions we will have in this time with he probably even starts speaking a little bit. Like he's not actually trying to distract anybody. He's just like wandering around and commenting on things.
Yeah.
And he says like I've been made more aware of the disappearance of the priests of was it Paris in Sinia, and I am wishing to learn what more can be done for the situations. I would not have the same happen to us, and I would like to know what is going on.
Yeah, so I think the way that the faith rules work, I don't know if they can just pray while they're doing their normal stuff. I think you typically have to like gather everybody up and actually like do like a whole, like everyone's speaking out loud and praying. So because I think in the like if you're doing it like in fight, for example, like you actually have to like spend actions and you're like saying stuff out loud and stuff, right? So I think that'll be the big thing. It's just like, you know, they will have to stop what they're doing to help you. So this wouldn't be a big ask at all if that wasn't the case. But I think like to actually do what you want to do, you'll have to actually gather them together. And so the oratory is just like, is this important? Like convincing them it's important enough to take a break from their charity work. To help you. Cool. Probably what it will be is like the bishop will just like strike it down if you fail, right? It'll just be like, no, maybe later, but like for now they have work to do.
So Joser will like speak then of the I think like the way he presents it is as these are questions about what is going on with the gods. Like I need answers about the gods and what is happening to them, or whether there is an issue that we need to deal with or not. And he probably, as he's speaking, is like so I can bring in like temple wise and things. I'm picking certain people who don't need to be disturbed, who like are necessary for the operating of the temple. And I'm like tapping them on the shoulder and saying, "You're fine. Don't let me bother you." And so he's like walking around speaking more about these things, and also, but still bringing their attention to the possibilities that he's needing answers on.
Sounds good. I think it's going to be an Ob 4. That's the common will exponent of the crowd.
Let's see. Forks-wise.
I thought you were saying you
everything?
had Forks-wise as a wise.
No, I wish I had Forks-wise. That'd be great.
Only good for cutlery-based rolls, but yeah. Yeah, those are the sorts of wises that Bertie Will explicitly says you cannot have.
Yep. Let's see. So, persuasion, because it is like this is a religious importance that I need them for.
Yep. Especially if it's like the gods, something might be happening with the gods. Like, we gotta figure this out.
Yep. Persuasion,
Mm-hmm.
soothing platitudes, falsehood, because it's not about the gods in general. It's actually about me specifically that I need it for.
Yeah.
Bureaucracy, because it's like I'm trying to work out how to operate this in the temple.
Yep.
What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anticipation wise. 6. Temple wise.
Yep.
And church politics wise.
If your total ends up being 19 dice, don't roll.
Don't roll. Yeah.
Just stop while you're ahead.
No, what'll be more sad, it'll be something like 15 or 16 and he'll make it with flying colors.
Yeah,
that's what's going to make me even more mad.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be mad no matter what, unless he fails this roll. Then I will be justified.
Yep.
Astrology
I don't necessarily
and
want for you.
Doing astrology too?
Yeah, astrology, doctrine. I don't know about philosophy or religious history.
Oh, yeah, probably neither of those.
Yep. Okay. So what's the magic number that we don't want?
19 dice.
19.
Total.
Okay. Well, I haven't got that many. Okay, we're fine.
Unless you start using fate.
That's true.
You could get up to that, but you'll probably make this and it'll be just fine.
Just fine. Let us hope. Let's see. So
4.
total of so if we're not including those two, it is 9 forks. No other base obstacle 4.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Still not as good as it could be, but
Yep. All right, cool. Yeah, so and I think this is probably the way that you're probably viewed in the temple, based on this role, right? Is the bishop. The reason the bishop is like slightly threatened by you is because you have like a cult following, right, among the priests. They all like you. There may be some that are more on the bishop side, right? But you're just really likable, and so this is like a really easy ask. You know, she'd be like, "Of course I can take a second." Like, yeah, this cool guy Joester that we all like, sounds great. And so they're like, "Yeah, this must be important. Sounds great. We'll all gather and pray to the sun. You know, whatever big sunroof that you guys have, everybody's gonna go stare directly at the sun and you know, do some praying." Cool. And I'm assuming you're trying to gather up some like will dice and faith forks and whatnot here.
Yes. I would like 2 bonus dice, please.
Sounds great to me. And then you're rolling to like ask a question or whatever.
Yes. So
the gods.
The specific one that I'm wanting is, I believe, the Ob 7 one, which will be then reduced to 6.
Right, because it's about you.
Yep. I'm the one getting informed about it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and it's a question about you.
Yeah, very true. So yeah, it is 7, which I believe is the inspiration.
Here we go.
So a priest may call upon his deity for a revelation or knowledge.
This is a dangerous prayer because the divinity knows much and will often reveal that which the priest did not intend to learn. I like that implication.
I have some ideas for what that may be if it is.
Cool.
Yep. So it becomes Ob 6. I have 2 helpy dice, and I'm going to put my 3 of my persona into it. because this is important to me. Okay. Oops. Okay. Faith with 2 helps. And 3 are base obstacle of 6. Let's see if we can get really low successes.
Do it. Ooh. All right.
Close.
Not quite.
I am going to spend my fate to reroll a failed dice.
Sounds good. Just one?
Just one because
right,
it's automatically.
It's automatically. Yeah.
Yep.
I just forget that. All right, 50-50. Here we go. Yeah. Poor Alyssa.
And it is.
I'm really happy for you, Josh. Congratulations on making your roll.
Yes. Well, I am going to be very thankful for this because I am abide by the no check unless I was successful in faith. Unlike the Faith in Dead Gods. Faith in Dead Gods was marked even though it failed. And resources earlier this session was marked even though it failed. But I will happily take it.
No, yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Nope, you can't do takes backsies. You did it already.
Nah, I can do takes backsies.
No.
Just did it. There you go. No, you're right. Yeah, I ever shouldn't have gotten a test for that.
There you go.
But yeah, you're right. I think we did mark Faith in Dead Gods a lot, even though we failed. All good. Okay, so yes, so this is the revelation, and your question specifically is what? What's the thing you want to know?
Like the main the thing Josel was trying to get is just he wants as much information as possible about his former life.
About his former life.
Like he if he had all the questions he was allowed, that he would ask.
How about
was I the one who took myself out, like that kind of thing.
Yeah. How about you ask me 2 questions. I'll have the power of veto if I don't want to answer one of them. But and then I'm going to give you a third answer to a question you didn't ask as well.
Okay. The first question he would ask is, was my incarnation on purpose? Like, did I do this on purpose to myself? Like, was I the one who asked them to stop sacrificing things?
Sure.
That kind of thing.
That is a good question. And this is where I have to kind of come down on some lore bits that have been floating in the ether, and settle on something, at least for Hagiel, because I think it's been at least been implied at this point, right, that the gods becoming mortals has been because they died. They were killed by whatever process the Seraphim and the Nicaean priests used to bring the pantheon to the other side. And so the only thing, I think that's true. The only question would be whether or not Hagiel did this because he knew that maybe, I don't know. Because this is the thing. I think the reason why, Pyrrhus, being the only other god that we actually know of that is in this process, and is immortal right now, he, the reason that he particularly this happened to is because he was powerful enough that killing him didn't automatically send him to Tartuit. So for the minor gods, right, for Nicaea and whoever else, right, who's on the dead god pantheon, they were just killed and they went over, right. They didn't have to go into this mortal phase. But I think the big 4, right, if they get killed in this process, they have enough power that they go into this transitionary thing as like a kind of like fail-safe thing that happens, because they have enough power that in the moment of death they try to save themselves, right, and they end up as immortal, right. Whether or not that could be 100%, that could be the answer, that's just what happened to Hagiel and it's the same as everybody. What would be the reason that Hagiel would do it intentionally? Because I think that it is true that that's at least what happened to Pyrrhus, right? And so it's possible that was the same thing that happened to Hagiel. It doesn't have to be, but I just want to, I would be curious what you would think the reason would be why you would do it to yourself, right? Like, what would be a purpose behind that?
I think so. So my thought was always that Hagiel did it on purpose to separate himself from the animal sacrifice thing.
Okay.
Like he purposely starved himself to death,
right? Because he was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think.
So knowing what Hagiel,
I think there's two things that would be to it for it.
Yeah.
Partly, I think it's just he is that would have been that what's the word? Well-meaning, that he didn't want to be have it be transactional. I think the second thing, if we do it this way, would be he knew that if he went into hiding, then what's his name could just still target his followers and try and take them out to like get at him. And so he's trying to like separate himself from the followers entirely. So it's like, well, Pyrrhus, right? You take out his followers, well, that is going to be a problem for him anyway. But if I'm outside of that link altogether, then there's no one you can go after except me. And I know you're coming.
Yeah, so the thing that I'm wondering about, right, is that I don't know if that would accomplish what Hagiel would want it to accomplish, right? Because if this is happening to gods anyway, because they're killed by whatever this process is, and I don't think we've had any implication that, like certainly, what's her face, Ophelia wanted to, destroy the worship of Pyrrhus or corrupt it or whatever for her own end, so that people would be worshiping the dead gods instead of the alive gods. But I don't think the purpose of doing that was to slowly starve the gods of worship. While that's, I don't know if did we ever like actually say in canon of the lore that actually gives the gods any sort of power? Because, and when did we say that then? Because I remember that like the sailors and stuff were talking about how they have to sacrifice to Pyrrhus to have good ocean travel, but that's the only thing I can remember about animal sacrifice being like a thing that they do to the gods.
It's something that you've definitely said to what's her name?
Maria.
Ophelia's player, Maria. Yeah, it's something you've said to Maria as a thing.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to work out. So it wasn't people in the game talking about it. That was you guys talking about it separately.
Yeah. Because this is the thing, right? Pyrrhus, if Pyrrhus is Malekith has been dead for a while now, right? So Sinia was still worshiping Pyrrhus just fine when he died. So that can't be a real connection for why he died.
Well, the thing is, you've also stated that when the king killed the high priest of Pyrrhus and there was a waning, the sea trade did start dying down.
Yes.
So there is a connection there.
There is a connection there.
Power.
So yeah, I'm fine with it being like connected to power or whatever. Like there's certainly a connection there, but I don't know if it has a direct connection to the dying part, right? Because at least when Pyrrhus died, Sinia was still worshiping Pyrrhus. So there must be some other thing that Seraphim can do to kill gods beyond just starving them of worship. Maybe I'm sure he did that for some of them, right? If that is true about the power being sacrifices and power having connection, which is fine. Then that can certainly be part of the process, but I don't think it's and well maybe that's just the reason. Maybe that's the reason why he didn't die. Actually, is because only one of the things happen, right? To really kill a god, you have to starve them of worship and kill them through whatever magic process is happening. And so Pyrrhus got killed through the magic process, but he still had worshipers. And so he became immortal. And probably same for you, right? But you did it the opposite way around. You starved yourself of worship, but didn't get killed by the process. But my question would be, why would he do that then? Is it just because of what you said? Like you think Hagiel thought that means that he can go into hiding and not be super killed?
Well, it's also because then he can ascend through this other method that he wants to, and then he is separate from both. Like there's no.
Okay. Yes. You know what? That actually makes sense because this place, the magic is very discordic, right? It has this kind of taint and corruption to it, and it probably is tied to this weird animal sacrifice worship stuff that happens. That's probably not supposed, and maybe didn't happen before the father of the gods left, right? And then to keep up your power, you guys instituted whatever this, direct power connection. And so, yeah, that makes sense because you're starving yourself of basically what you're doing is you're leaking yourself you're leaking out the corruption from you, right? You're purifying yourself by starving yourself of this evil worship that had been given to you so that you could become immortal and then reascend to godhood to be connected to the harmonia instead of the discordia. I think that makes sense. I just had to work through the steps in my head there. So I think the answer to the question then can be yes. I think that makes sense. And that's a fun reversal, right? Because Pyrrhus would have happily kept on having people worship him in the wrong way, right? But he got killed by this other process, and maybe there was some timing issues. They were trying to get the worship of Sinia to stop, and it didn't in time when the process finished, and so he became immortal instead. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
And that also gives and the reason why I still had like a starting point of faith, like I could already have faith as a trait, was because I had like a fail safe with Thalia.
Yes,
it's like I had that still got a connection to deityhood through her.
And have we said on screen what Thalia actually is? And we don't have to if you don't want to, but I'm getting confused in my head what is actually going on with her.
So she is my daughter. Yeah,
is your daughter?
She's my daughter. Yeah.
And that you had her when you were a god?
When I was a god, yes.
So is this
one of the fail things that I was going to have for if I'd failed that faith roll was basically I start learning about my past and I find out that, I don't know, Nikaya or one of those other ones was my wife at the time.
Okay,
that's who I had her with, and then that was the
question. That was the question I was going to ask. So Thalia is a god. Thalia is she was made
or at least a proper demigod, like typical Greek thing of like your child is not a full deity, but
so the way it works in this setting would be there is a way to like procreate as a god. It's not the same sort of thing as like human procreation. You can technically procreate by yourself as a god if you do this special process, but typically and the way it works, right, is you probably did have a goddess who was your wife, and you didn't necessarily need to have like sex or whatever, but there is some sort of ritual that it's done to kind of meld your god DNA together to make a god that is kind of connected to both of you, right, in like a magical way, and has powers that are similar to both of yours. So that's who would be. So she's a proper god, but she's definitely lesser in power than you. Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, do we know who goddess wife is?
At this point, no. Okay. I mean, we know that it's probably someone pseudo Jagadi or that kind of thing.
Right,
because Thalia is more Jagadi than
I know who it is then. Yep, I know who it is.
But yes,
and that'll be about the answer to the last question. But go ahead and ask your second then.
Second question is, I guess, if any of my brothers are on the material, well, there's two questions I want now. Is that who's that fifth god? But I think the question is, which of my brothers can be trusted?
Which of your brothers can be trusted?
I
like, think
clearly, like, we have our differences, but which of them can actually be like trusted, and which ones are just outright crazy?
So the four brothers, right? You're obviously the most trustworthy of all of them. Next would be Pyrrhus. I think like he's still conflicted, and he would have to, he has to still come around to some of the more esoteric repentances, right, that are involved here. But he is on the path of redemption. So he can be trusted as far as it goes for right now, right? He still has to be led down that path a bit further before he's all the way there, but he is on that path and can be trusted. Seraphim can't be trusted at all, right? He is just evil. Aratos is still in the middle somewhere, right? And you get a sense that I think you get a flash of, okay, Aratos is also dead. Except he's in this weird mortal state. So all three of the other brothers besides Seraphim are gone. And something so Aratos is still around here somewhere, but you get the sense that he hasn't learned his lesson, right? In the same way that Pyrrhus has. So he's definitely not a friend of Seraphim's, right? Because he knows what happened there and is an enemy of Seraphim in that sense because he got killed by Seraphim. But is still bad. He's still a bad dude. And he's always been kind of like a rough around the edges type person. So yeah, you can't trust Aratos, you can't trust Pyrrhus, you can't trust Seraphim. Yeah, so that'd be the answer to the question. The answer to the third question that you didn't ask is actually related to who this fifth god is. I think that was your wife, the fifth god, who is your sister, and given the way that the gods work, right? There's incest isn't really a thing, because there's not really DNA in the same way. And her name is Indu. And she is referred to by the Jagati as, or at least by the Jagati that still worship her, is Indu, Mother in Exile. And a long time ago, and we can figure out the timeline as to when Thalia actually came into existence then. But several thousand years ago, she left. Because the father of the gods came to Arcadia and was like, hey, I need someone to come with me, bring some other people. I have a mission on another planet that needs to be done, and you're never going to come back. Sorry. You're stuck. You're basically, there was some sort of other sphere somewhere that needed to be, there was like a war to be fought there and a dangerous power to be guarded there for the rest of time. Right. And, he like gathered gods from around the cosmos and sent them there. And your wife had to go. Probably at that point, Aratos, Seraphim, and Pyrrhus were on the path of turning against the father of the gods. You and Indu were still kind of, and Indu was probably the most worshipful of father of the gods at that point. And so she went because you were maybe reluctant to do so. And it was maybe the situation where you should have been the one to go and you like refused. And so Indu had to go instead. And that's probably part of your shame as you've come to realize all the bad things you did in the past is like, I shouldn't have let her go. I should have led my people to go fight this war, and she had to do it instead. But yeah, so she's gone. And that's the other thing that you remember now. And it probably is a big weight. Because you remember who your wife was and the fact that you like let her go off to war by herself a long time ago, and you've never spoken to her since. Thalia is her daughter, right? And is the only thing you have left of her. Yeah. So that's all the lore dump that you get from above.
I didn't even rewatch the last episode that I wasn't in, so I just got a whole bunch of information that I did not know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Didn't I tell you that Joser was a god?
No, you did not.
I didn't. Okay. Well, I meant to. Yeah. Joser is Hagiel. The other.
Yeah.
Yep.
Put that together.
And did I tell you that? Didn't I tell you that Malekith is Pyrrhus?
Yeah, I was there for that episode.
You were there for that episode, right? And then the next. Okay, yeah. So yeah, all that is true. And if you have any,
I was meaning to ask Carly that at the start of the session whether she'd watched it.
I totally forgot. Yeah. Do you have any clarifying questions for me, Josh, about any of that?
No, I think that makes sense.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll ask him if I come up. So
sounds good. Awesome. All right, who do we want to go back to next? So Joser gets his lore dump, and then we can go jump back to Avra if there's something you wanted to do there, or we can Joser and Maya can do their team up stuff. What was the thing you were going to do together? The meeting, right?
Yeah. I mean, I got to join
the no secrets meeting.
Yeah, that seems like probably the place
join the Nulla Mysteria Club.
That seems like the place we should go next. That was we kind of built that up last session. I think we should make sure that gets in.
There's only one other thing I kind of wanted to do, but I don't.
Is it quick?
I think so.
Yeah, let's do it.
I want to write a letter.
Okay.
To what's his face before he leaves.
Oh, what's his face? The mercenary you hired?
The guy I hired, yeah.
Yeah, what's his name? He has a name. Where is it? Reketsa. Yeah.
Reketsa.
Yeah, sounds good.
I don't actually have write as a skill.
So you're having someone else write him a letter?
No, I'll write it because it's very secrety.
Okay.
I basically just want to write him a letter and say, change our minds, kill Alpheus if you see him.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah. Well, this is Maya trying to do this in crayon because she doesn't actually know how to write, but we'll see if it works. Yeah, sounds good. What is write a letter in?
Now, hold on. I get to know the failure before I know the ob and actually decide if I want to commit to this, correct?
I don't know if that's necessary.
Because usually you tell me sometimes you said that you would tell me the failure before I commit to.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't remember if there's an actual rule about that, but that's fine.
That's just your general rule of thumb.
Mm-hmm. Okay, composing a letter is
an ob
3. For write, it's an ob 3.
Oh, composition is an ob 1.
You can do that's. I think you have to do write because you don't have right.
Usually, you have to know write to do
composition, right?
If you were narrating to someone else, then maybe composition would work and they would write it. But
I think with this it has to be right because you're literally having to try to learned crayon on a piece of paper, right?
Then I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I went under the assumption of trying to do it this way with the assumption it'd be an op 1. So never mind.
I mean, you could go to Damaris, right? Damaris doesn't know anything that's happening with this stuff. You could just be like, "Hey, we're buddies. Can you just write a quick letter for me?"
I'm debating how much I really want to stab my husband in the back by doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we already had a fight over this. Debating if I want to keep the peace. Because I was already debating doing this or not. I was trying to go for an easy thing, but that's not going to happen. And apparently there's no such thing as an easy thing for Maya. So, yeah, that's fine. I'll skip that.
Okay. I mean, you could also.
I would rather patch things. I would rather patch things up with my husband and not have because I was going to do that under the assumption she could do it by herself with no risk of rumors getting out at all.
I mean, you still could. You could meet him at the dock before he leaves on the ship, right? You just say it.
I know, but then people will see me. That's true. I think it's just not worth it. So I think she's just going to let it go.
Sounds good.
And she will have her fight with Alpheus when he returns.
I'm trying to remember. Did we fail a roll at all in hiring that dude? Is he going to do his job as he was told?
He basically is adequate, is what we I think determined. Is that he's not the best person for the job. I think because wasn't it Damaris? Damaris had to roll the circles roll. I think.
Mm-hmm, I think so.
And she failed. I think.
Yeah. I think that's what happened. Yeah, so he's not going to outright try to kill anybody he doesn't need to kill or whatever, but he's not the best guy for the job. There might be collateral damage if he does it wrong. There'll be some sort of complication. Yeah. So Maya still might get what she wants. But yeah, we'll see. It's kind of in the hands of fate.
That's fine. She really did, and she does want to patch things up with Malekith, and so maybe we start the scene with Maya going to his office as he's always working, and she kind of does the thing where she knocks on the door. Can I come in?
Yes, of course.
She goes in and she kind of does the thing where she half sits on his seat, half
the shoulder of the
lap.
chair. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of a thing, and puts her arm around him and just
he seems kind of sort of stiff.
And she like, I'm sorry.
I'm trying to remember what we came down. You failed the roll to get him to believe you about Alpheus, right?
Alpheus,
That's what it was?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Correct,
okay.
yeah.
Just making sure.
Basically, I made my point of
Made your
I'm mad at
case.
you, not that I'm mad at you. And on top of that, the fact that you're letting your blind loyalty not see how he betrayed us is just mind blowing to me.
Yeah, I think he says, you'll see. Alpheus you'll see.
I don't want to talk about him. I just want to talk about us, if that's okay.
About the fact that your husband is a god?
No.
Or at least was.
Just about... I just don't understand why you didn't tell me that you knew about me. I guess I just feel betrayed by that whole thing. I've told you literally everything. No secrets. The day I found out from my mom and she died, I told you, and I guess I feel like an idiot because you already knew.
Yeah. And he says, yeah, I don't know. Because I don't think he wants to apologize to you because you failed the role. It's still a whole thing. I think he says, Maya, do you trust me?
I think she sits on that question for a second. I don't think she's thinking as long. I'm just actually deciding whether it's a yes or a no.
Yeah.
Because she'll answer him pretty much right away. But I think the answer is yes. I mean, her belief is that she will stick by him no matter what, and so I think she says, I trust you more than I trust myself, but that doesn't mean I'm not still hurt.
I understand. I'm trying so hard, Maya, to do this right. To not make the same mistakes I made in the past. And the last thing I need is for you doubting. I doubt enough for the both of us. I need you to trust that I'm at least trying to do what's best. For us, for Ben.
I do trust that.
And if I make a mistake, that's my responsibility, not yours. I'll take that blame. If Alpheus is a traitor, I will be the first person to fall on a sword for that. But I knew his father. And I know him. And he's a troubled young man. He has his faults, but he's genuine. He'll do what's right in the end. I believe that.
I believe that you believe that.
His father did.
I think I just probably need to speak to him myself. I don't know him like you do. All I see is the betrayal.
I'll make sure we get the chance.
Maya's thinking, she's like, She's like, well, speaking of trust.
Raises an eyebrow.
How well do you trust Joser?
I can't make any sense of that man. Esoteric as they come.
Think I understand him a bit more and more each day.
Well, you have been working together for a while now, figuring out the situation in Setkis.
Yeah.
The situation with the play is coming along really nicely. And the help of the Church of Hagiel has been very helpful.
Well, I hope it's okay, but I did ask him to come by sometime
For what
soon.
reason?
I think he and you have some business to discuss.
What business would I have to discuss with Joser? Is that where Joser just like comes in?
I think she just says, you're just gonna have to trust me on that.
He nods slowly because he just asked you for his trust or asked you for your trust. And so he just nods and he says, all right.
And then she gets off the chair and, kind of like, I don't know. Yeah. And then that's probably when
Joser walks in. Joser, to what do I owe the pleasure? Malekith has an accent, and I've I've never been consistent with what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like an African accent of some sort, but I always get it mixed up. Sorry, continue.
Malekith, it is a pleasure to see you again. Maya?
Joser?
Maya says that you have something to discuss with me.
Yes, you have a good woman. She is... She was quite disappointed in you, and yet she still recommended I talk to you and said you were a good man. So,
well, that's
she just let her feelings get in the way.
She just looks at him.
Suppose that's all I can hope for. That she believes I'm a good man, even though I make mistakes.
I am not convinced yet, but I trust her judgment.
So what? Do you need me to give you some assurances that I'm a man to be trusted, or what is this about?
No, simply I wished to join the No Secrets Club.
He looks at Maya. What secrets do you think we're keeping from you, Joser?
Some, but...
Well, there are certain family secrets that I don't know if you need to be privy to.
That is irrelevant. I wanted to start this conversation by saying that I already can be trusted. If I wanted to know your secrets, I could have found them out momentarily.
Saying you have spies, Joser?
Not really. The sun looks on many things except the bad places, and we don't go there.
Never go there, Simba.
Never go there, Simba. Exactly. I mean, put it this way. I knew who it was that kidnapped your son because I could ask and find out.
Right.
The light of the sun reveals all secrets. If I want to ask them...
Yes, you're a worshipper of Hagiel. We knew this already. What has the sun told you this time, Joser?
Not necessarily. In fact, your wife was very notable at pointing out that I am not a worshipper of Hagiel.
I'm thoroughly confused now.
Oh, absolutely. I would be horrendously narcissistic. I was told that you would know more about this than other people of this place.
Know about what?
And he pops the pauldron off and hands it to him.
Does it come to life?
I took the liberty. I took the liberty of having Thadia and Sadiq stay outside for this one.
And he looks down and it comes to life.
Mm-hmm.
His eyes go wide.
Maya just looks down at him and just says, "This is a family matter."
I think he, drops the scarab, but it probably like flies right in the air. And he takes a step forward and he just hugs you, Joser.
Aww.
Oh, goodness. Do fish even have arms?
I am so sorry, brother. I am so sorry. We should have listened to you. None of this would have happened if we just listened to
you. If you had listened to me, I think some of it would still have happened. And he'll put the arm around him.
Yeah.
Maya's tearing up in the background.
I had my suspicions, but
how?
He looks over.
Why?
It is a pleasure to meet you, sister-in-law.
Nice to meet you too.
Is Aratos? What?
I know Aratos is also incarnate. I do not know where he is. And I also know he is
Probably
not so convinced of the beneficial ways of my speaking.
So, how did it happen for you? I remember a ripping, a tearing sensation, and then I was a man, learning, growing, changing.
I was a baby first.
So was I. That's what I mean.
Oh, there you go. No, I was not privy to such things. Mine was a slow death, like starvation more than anything else. Like slowly being drained of your blood.
What's happening?
I did it to myself.
Why did Seraphim do this to us? Why did he turn against us?
No, he did this to you. Didn't do it to me.
What do you mean?
I did this to me.
Why?
This is on purpose.
What possible reason could you have for killing yourself, Joser?
I'm
now you're even more
myself.
vulnerable to them. If they killed you again.
Mm-hmm. And if I ascend, then they will never be able to kill me again.
What do you mean ascend? I don't think there's any ascending from here, brother.
There is. I would not have done it to myself if I didn't know it.
Spill it. Tell me what's going on.
Well, I am sure if you, as you have said, you already know the first part of it. Seraphim is killing us, or killing the gods. I don't know his ultimate end. I dare say just to rule over everything and corrupt it to his own ends. He is bought fully into the corruption of sacrifice. But I assume that once all of the gods are in the inky depths, then they shall return to conquer the entire planet of Akkadiat.
Maybe.
Most likely use it for his own ends. Who knows? Maybe they wish to use it as a base to push the father away once and for all. I am not sure.
I'm sure that Seraphim doesn't want the father returning. But he is.
That is true.
Thestios saw it.
I saw it.
I'm not surprised. So what do we do?
It was one of the first questions I asked. What do we do? Well, there are multiple things that we can be doing. For instance, saving Sinia. That's a good start.
Yes, I am positive that my son has something to do with that salvation. The Irida has things in it that show. And the Irida, as a point of reference, I think it was a book that was made by Pyrrhus. I believe so. I'm trying to remember my lore here.
All I know is that there were 6 books and there's now only 2, because he went away and burned 2 and then came back and then went away and burned 2 and then came back and then
aren't there 3?
King...
Wasn't it 9 and then sets of 3 got burned?
Oh, that's true. Yeah. 9 and 3.
Yeah. The 3 books of the Irida. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I was gonna write a short story about this. I just want to make sure I'm getting the lore right.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever stated who made it in canon.
Oh,
It was just that the old lady
was,
who offered it.
I think it was Hagiel, because so this is the thing, right? The Irida is prophecies, but it's also like good, right? It's a good thing. I think if I remember correctly, the short story I was going to write was like a priestess of Hagiel came to the king of Sinia, and that what it got corrupted to be. It was a witch, but it was this like beautiful priestess who actually kind of like personified Lady Wisdom in the Bible. It's like that sort of figure, right?
Yep.
Like being like, this is the book that you need to rule Sinia well, or the books or whatever. And I think and so I'm saying all this because I think once he mentions the Irida, this is also probably like comes back to you. You're like, oh yeah, I did that. I like sent this book to Sinia so that this is all like part of like the larger plan. And I think actually what it ended up being is that priestess married the king of Sinia, and the line, like he was the first king of Sinia, and that line is like a priestess of Hagiel and the king who worshiped Pyrrhus. Like that was their and you remember that boy king. Like he was young when he took the throne, and he was a sailor. Like that was what he spent his life doing. He was a sailor. He didn't know what he was doing. He had all these advisors that were like trying to lead him into paths that to be a bad king and you give them power or whatever it was. And Hagiel sent this priestess with a book, with these books to try to sway him to do right by Sinia. And that's why Sinia is the beacon of justice that it was, at least before Thestios. And so he says this, and he's like, I knew that there was something about that book, something or those books that, and I, before I lost favor with Thestios, I managed to get a reading of it from him, and I think it's Ben.
Fun fact about the other 6 books that were burned. Completely empty. I saw that he would burn them anyway. It was like
amazing. That's an amazing answer.
It's about the threat that it is the actual thing. Anyway, yes,
that's
Ben.
Amazing.
Yes, Ben. Yes, it has been a while since I've read them myself, or when I made them. I still don't remember all my time. But I remember more. But yes, it is likely.
Yeah, and he says, I don't know what happens after that, though. We save Sinia, and then what? The father comes back, but too late. The Jinn will have already corrupted everything, killed us. What does saving Sinia actually accomplish in the grand scheme of things?
I don't know. I'm just told to do it.
And he just
I think you underestimate. Yeah. I think you underestimate the power of the father.
He just
do you really think we would fail to do what he intended?
I don't know what he intends, Joser. Or
neither do I. I'm
Hagiel.
Very minimal on the understanding.
But you don't understand. What if we are meant to die here? What if he comes, but he comes in judgment, and we're found lacking?
Then he is just. I don't know about you, but I am severely lacking.
This is
my
the part
wife
that I
was the one who was true, and even she would be lacking in some respects.
This is good.
If Maya can just come in, she wants to grab Malekith's arm, because I think she can tell that for the first time she's seen her husband be scared.
Yeah,
and I think she's finally understanding he is genuinely scared to die.
Yeah. Yep. That's been his probably number one.
That's his
fear.
number one thing.
Yep.
Right. And I think she's fully getting it now.
Mm-hmm. And I think he says to you, Joser, he says, "This is the part that I was never able to follow you on. I can't live like that. I need to know, Joser.
I know more than anyone. I can ask any question and have it answered if it is the right time. But there are some questions not meant to be answered. There are just jobs to do, orders to be followed.
How do you know you're even getting the right answers? How do you know that your communications haven't been corrupted too?
If prophecies do not come true, then they are false." Yerida chapter 2, verse 3.
I think you're going to need to make a roll here, right? Because, like, the big thing for Malekith is he still wants to control it, right? He wants to save Sinia because he wants to know that, like, this is the plan and it will work, and there's like actual assurance that he has, not just trust it will work, but something concrete that he can look at, and you have to convince him that, like, no, that's not how this works. Like, that's still the step you need to take, like, to actually come back from where you were. See, I think it's a roll.
I'm trying to see if I can. I would love for this to be just like worst possible outcome, ugly truth, but I don't know that it is, because what Hagiel would probably just say, like, put his hands on his shoulders, like, look at him dead in the eyes, and say, "If we are meant to live, we will live. If we are meant to die, we will die. Worrying about it isn't going to add a single hour to your life. Get over it."
Yeah, that's one avenue you could take. Yeah, I think it's a bit more complicated than just the most obvious thing, though, because, like, there's all sorts of, like, weird esoteric god stuff kind of floating around in the ether.
Well, yeah, it's not about the simplest is the worst possible outcome. It's like, no, it just is. It is what it is.
Let me look at this again.
Like, because the worst possible thing is there is nothing we can control about the actual outcome. We are just doing our bit.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to accomplish what you need to accomplish here, right? Like, I think you could make that roll, but the roll would be, okay, cool, now he's depressed, right? Mm-hmm. That would be his response. Be. Which, if that's what you want, that's fine. But, like, if you want him to actually, like, come with you on this and, like, trust you and trust the plan and stuff, that's, I don't think one ugly truth is gonna cut it.
Yeah.
What?
But one ugly truth would get me ugly truth. No.
Yeah, I know. What do you care more about? Learning ugly truth or saving the multiverse or whatever? The galaxy.
Truth.
That's Joser speaking. That's not Hagiel speaking.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see.
Because, like, it could be like a more, difficult ugly truth, but that's something you're probably not going to make. Persuasion is certainly an option here. Just be like, no, this is in your best interest to do this. Suasion might be an avenue that makes sense. Not soothing platitudes, not rhetoric, I don't think. And even oratory, like, you're not really making a speech.
I could probably do it as a speech.
Yeah, I mean, I would want a little bit more then, probably.
Yeah. No, I'm just working out what we could make it as. So before I,
he's doing all the dice calculations in his head.
Yeah, math brain.
Because Joser would go on a full, like, rousing speech. Like,
justice will come, and we will come with it. Yeah.
We are pawns, but one day we will be queens.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I can word it in a way that he would understand as a tradesman.
Maya's very conflicted in this moment.
You know what your problem is, Malekith. And I mean that, Malekith. You are certainly thinking as someone who is used to being in control. You're a powerful merchant now, aren't you? You're a very, very big boy. But you are still so human in your thinking. Do you not remember the days when we would take charge over grand schemes? Watch over the various towns, the villages. Now you can see within 4 walls, and you think, "Oh, I still have control over this house." Do you remember any of the towns outside of this small area? Do you remember the western edge of the sun's light, or the north, or the south? Do you remember the myriad of villages, all of which were under your care as a god? Do you remember any of them?
He doesn't answer.
Your viewpoint is very narrow, Malekith. Even less so than you were as Pyrrhus. You see, do you know why I call you the god of fish?
No, I have no idea.
It's because you are always small-minded. You are the god of the ocean, trade messengers. You have broad scopes. And yet, even when you are a god, you would think about the individuals. The little fish. The sailors. That kind of thing.
So is this a compliment now?
It is not a bad thing, in some respects. Caring for people is wonderful. I love it myself. But to make it the entirety of your job neglects things. And it is not a bad thing. But now you are a man, trying to make man decisions based on man knowledge. And it is a very narrow focus. When you are a god, you had priests. You would tell them what to do. Were you always aware of... Were they always aware of your reasons for doing things? Were they always super knowledgeable and savvy? Did you explain every detail of your plan to them?
But that was their job. Their job was to take orders. Our job was to rule.
Congratulations, you have struck upon the secret. It's your job. We are now those small men. In the eyes of the Father, we have always been small men. It's just now that we know we're small and it hurts. It feels like being compressed into a small box. Our job is still to do what we were meant to do. And it is a job that few of us ever do properly. Doesn't stop us from doing it. If a priest didn't understand what he was meant to do, he understood what he needed to and still did it. And oftentimes he would be rewarded in seeing the success of his actions. And sometimes he would not and never see the true success of his actions. When I sent that priestess to Sinia with the books of the Erida, did that priestess see the fruition of her actions? She saw the next generation, sure. But did she see the generation after that? Did she see 3 generations? Did she see now? Where those books are still telling us what to do and telling...
She might have. She had the Irida.
Maybe. But there is a reason why it is the Prophet King.
Yeah, okay. That's a good line to end on. Go ahead and make that roll. Right? You're like, no, we're the queen in this situation, right?
We're the queen.
Yeah.
We do our job.
You give the book, you don't get to read it.
Oh man, I would love to fork everything and not this.
It's going to be all 5.
Yep. Is that speechy enough?
I think so, yeah.
Yep. Sweet.
Can I give some kind of helping die?
Sure, yeah. What would you have like said or done?
Well, just I was thinking soothing platitudes along those lines, since I was like kind of like coming up and just like trying to like just kind of
probably
comfort him.
have to say something as well, though. What would you have added verbally?
I'm trying to think what she would say in this moment, because I don't know if Maya would say anything.
Can I set up something then? Can I set up something?
You could, yeah. Unless she's addressed, I don't know that Maya would say something, because she's literally she's not about to interject in between two gods.
Yeah. Joseph will like say, look, you know that it was in Maya's best interest that you did not reveal the truth of your godhood for the longest of time. Now she has learned that you are such and has found out that she was left out of information. She's wounded. We are currently that person. We are your wife. We are finding out that there is more to it, and we are wounded for the fact that we don't know everything. It does not mean that it is not for our best interest. It does not mean that the effort will not be successful for it. She still loves you, right?
And she just like nods and like looks up at him and just says, I think I love him more than I've ever loved him. And she like strokes his hand.
That's certainly soothing platitude worthy. Yeah.
And I think she says, because I see him for who I see the full picture. Well, no, that's kind of contradictory though, because she'd say like, because I'm finally starting to see the full picture.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still I think maybe she'd say, but I understand that there's still pieces missing. It doesn't mean that, but she says something along the lines of like, but that doesn't,
I'm not trusting you, or yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Go for it.
So soothing plats from you, is that 1 or 2 dice?
I think one. I only have a 3.
All good.
I don't even think I have. The only thing I had that's a 6 is persuasion.
Well, it'd be 5 or higher, but yeah.
Oh, falsehood, but I don't think I'm telling any lies here.
No,
so.
I'm not telling any lies.
Actually, I hate you, Malachi.
That's my secret.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I don't trust you, and that's because
I'm still trying to kill that other guy that you trust.
There's also that. Yeah, that's true.
I totally trust you, Malachi.
She still definitely doesn't trust Alpheus, but I think she's just like, you know what? Until I see him, I'm just gonna not let it poison my marriage, kind of a thing.
Yep.
I'm not gonna let Alpheus poison my marriage. Like, come on, I'm wiser than that.
He's not worth it.
He's not worth it.
Is this objective enough to be rhetoric?
Now, if Ben dies, it might poison our marriage. Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
I think rhetoric is fine.
Cool. Persuasion. I'm not going to falsehood because I'm not lying. Anticipation wise,
can you imagine Joseph just actually trying to become just to usurp the father himself the whole time?
I am the father now. No, not ritual. Religious history, because that's like our entire history together.
Yes. You could have just said family history is the
family history. Yeah. Philosophy, because this is like how does man relate to the gods and stuff like that.
Very much so. How many gods can dance on the head of a pinwheel if God tells them to?
If regular history works, because Unless
No,
we
I don't
count like
think so.
Sinian history, I don't think that works.
No, it's a little bit too tangential.
This isn't our church politics. This is our regular people politics. Doctrine and astrology.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm not stabbing him with a knife or telling him how his heart works. Ooh, does your heart desire? What does your heart desire? No, that's not. No,
one thought I had actually is if you're doing doctrine, religious history probably doesn't make sense because that's probably actually more the history of the church, not history of the mythology, because that would be doctrine, right? That's what the doctrine is. It's like,
well, this is more like history of like I was referring to the
the way the priests react. You're right. Yep.
And Sinian history with like the priestess, like she never got to see the fruition.
You're right.
Yep. Cool.
Top 5.
Okay. Ooh, we managed to get over the line. Thank you, Alyssa.
You got over 19?
I've got 18. Yes, so
not
19.
Okay. Darn it! I was going to say you've got 21. That just be it's a wrap. Just done. We don't have to roll.
We'll see. And you know what? To say I'm going to put in. No, I'm not going to put in that. I could put in persona, but I'm not going to. No, Arthur. Base obstacle 5, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Oof. Well, look at those dice go.
Wow. That's what should have been me. It should have been me.
So I think what he says, right, is you can the issue for him was not so much the control part of it, because he does understand the analogy that you've said, right? And he said it, right? He was like, the priests follow us because we give them orders and that's their job. You're right. Yeah. Okay. Our job is to follow orders. But he's like, I know I need to follow orders. Like that is my role. But I think, and then what he says, right, is like, I'm scared that he'll kill me anyway. And then what was it all for? What if it's not enough? What if I can't earn it? What if I can't like earn my atonement in this situation?
What did you do when you were young with Ben? He came into your room, presumably your office. You were working. Makes sense, right? When he approached you and asked you to help with your work, did you deny him and throw him out of the room? Or did you give him a small thing to play with? Something that would help, but was not exactly. Meaning, like, wasn't going to make the difference between big problems and little ones.
I don't understand where you're going with this, Joe, sir.
I think Maya will pipe in and say something different. Remember when we caught Ben lying to us that one time?
That one time?
Well, many times.
The first time, you mean?
First time we caught Ben lying to us. How upset I was that he lied to me. Do you remember what you said to him?
I'm sure you're
you
going
took
to
him in your
me.
arms and you said, after he gave his many apologies, you said, son, it's already forgiven. And you went and you took him around back and you played with him. I'm not saying it's going to be the same way.
That's the
issue. But I think what Joser's saying is that any good father is merciful.
If our father truly was worried about our success and whether we would succeed or fail, he would do it himself. The reason he gives us our parts to play is because he loves us so much, so that we can feel like we are helping, that we are being part of his plan. He's not going to come in here with a big stick, although we might deserve the big stick. He puts out his hand, pats Malekith on the shoulder again, and he says, "Don't worry. I took some time in the temple today, and I was praying, and I remembered some things from before, from when we were gods, from when the Father was around. I very much doubt that he thought we would be perfect in the first place."
The thing that I'm worried about, Joser, is not so much that the Father won't be fatherly, but that we aren't truly his children. He created us, sure, of course. He created all of the Kalahim. But we're not like men. We were given a job. We're supposed to rule, and we failed. You know what happened to the Jinn. What if I'm already them? What if I can't go back?
It sounds a whole lot like you think you're doing things.
What do you mean?
You're doing things. You're wanting to earn his favor or his permission to continue.
I just want to know, Joser. I want to know that what I'm doing matters and will actually mean something.
And then Maya just
for me. I don't want to leave Ben alone.
I think Maya tears up.
Have you heard of the saying, "It's the thought that counts"?
Sure. Why are you guys smiling at me?
What other thing is there to do when you see a little boy being so earnest at trying to be good? When he doesn't, it's not really the point.
Then what is the point, Joser? What was the point of all of this?
Doing what's right.
And what is right? What is the thing that we need to do now? Besides taking orders, what are the orders? How do we know what step to take? After Sinia, what next?
Kill Sinia. That is the immediate thing. That is what we need to do.
Then how?
That is the job.
Then how? Let's say I buy it. I believe it. I give up to both of you, and I'm okay with taking orders. What do we even do? If we hand Setkis the keys to the doors, they're going to ruin the place.
Did we say to give Setkis the keys, Maya?
I did. We shut it down right away. Once I found out the truth.
Yes, that would be a stupid idea.
Oh, I know that now.
But I don't know what else to do, Joser.
And then Maya just shakes her head and she says, "We're already doing, Malekith."
I've been writing letters to aristocrats, and it feels like I've gotten nowhere. These people don't care about us. Who cares about this besides us? Just because you can get answers to questions, Joser, doesn't mean we have the means to carry the answers out.
No, but we have the means to try.
All right. I give up. We'll do it, but you need to give me something to go on. What are we doing here? How do we accomplish this? How do we even try?
Well, we're starting. And Maya, did you have thoughts of your own? I have a couple of ideas, but I would rather hear from you first.
Please, Maya, I've been going in circles with these aristocrats. The hierarchs, they just won't listen to me.
You have spent more of your life as a mortal, so you might know how to deal with mortals better.
How to get them to care about the gods? Like, I mean,
how to get them to care about Sinia.
Sinia. Give them something to root for.
Your play. You really think that it can all hinge on that and that will somehow do it?
I'm not saying my little play will do much, but...
I'm not trying to doubt you, Maya. Promise me. Or I promise you, but...
No, the thought that a play would change the minds of cold-hearted people is absurd. But sometimes the sun does melt ice after all.
I don't think any of us know about ice.
It's not cold enough for that, I suppose.
Yeah, it's pretty tropical.
The sun, trying to think of a similar metaphor.
I remember my time as a god. I know what ice is.
Well, yeah, Joser knows what ice is, but Maya wouldn't be able to use
I don't know what ice is. I don't think I know what... I mean, well, do I understand I mean, like, I read, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess there are definitely places on the planet where ice exists. Like,
right, that's what I'm like. Just because I've never lived in ice doesn't mean that, like, I've never lived in snow, but I know what snow is.
Yeah, I guess, like, once you get closer to the dark side, at least probably in higher elevations, there might be snow. So sure, yeah, sure. We'll say Maya's right enough that she can use the metaphor. Go ahead.
I know what ice is. Okay.
Okay.
But even the sun melts ice. Maybe it's just a starting point. But Malekith, you have to realize you unfroze my heart. And you did it through, yes, romance. But now that you're here, now that both of you are here, you've never been closer to your people. I have never been you know me, Malekith. I've never been much of a religious person. I went with you to church, and I have never felt closer to the Father, to the gods than I do now, because I know you.
He frowns and he turns to Joser. He says, I'm scared of what will happen if people know too much about us. But what if we just told them who we are? You at least have some power left. Will Setkiss follow you?
I don't know. I have faith that many of those in the Church of Hagiel would. But we are not the bigger church here.
I know.
We are possibly more popular in some respects, in that we feed the poor, and the poor are a large populace, but
they aren't a powerful piece of the populace.
They are not powerful. My people may be able to purify a few of the zombies that Seraphim would throw at us, but I don't
That's
think
what I'm most terrified of, is we are in his domain here. If he finds out, then we could be killed very easily.
Yes. Quite easily, yes. I would need to build I have some access to the divine, but I cannot even perform a miracle like the one that gave me knowledge today easily. If I were to build my power my tie to the divine my link to my old power quick enough, I may be able to work some grand spectacle that would turn them to our side, but to do so would require some effort.
I don't mean to ask you to risk yourself, brother, but if anyone is worthy of the position we were granted, it is you. I don't know how to ascend like you supposedly can, but I will follow you if you can do it. That's the most hope I have.
Try.
That's the most hope I have in anything.
I'm willing to try. And if worst comes to worst, I am willing to be the sacrificial lamb.
I thought you got rid of that.
I did. Doesn't mean I can't be one. After all, if all the sacrifices are needed to sustain you, then you can't really give up anything that you don't have of your own.
What do you need me to do?
I need time. I may be able to work something and consecrating the ground so that the zombies could not come here anyway. But it will take time, and it will take a building of my power I have not grown used to. If we can perform the debate, then maybe we can get some of the hearts and minds of Sinians. Right. And we can start building up something that is more of a support for our cause and more ability to work.
Can the priests of Aratos be trusted?
I don't know. I know that Aratos cannot be trusted.
I believe that.
From the fact that he is still cursing your people, I do not know. Maybe we could convince them not to draw upon his power or to put their faith somewhere differently, because it is clear what happens when a priest of Aratos asks and it is not answered. It is answered in a very different way, and that is, a curse is not something I can risk at this point.
Yes, that makes sense. So we set up the debate, we change hearts in Setkis, but I don't know if we have much time. What can I do to make this work as fast as possible? I must have something that can help here. I have money.
Joser, do you know where our son is?
Yes. I asked that question earlier today. He is currently in the house of one General Spiridon.
And she
yeah.
says like, bleep did it. He's there.
So Alpheus made it. Alpheus, the plan is still on.
I don't know. I meant to ask the son if they were still in the possession of Titan, but something gives me the feeling that things have changed since last time. Perhaps my storm worked. I don't know, but I will ask more questions.
There's something that the both of you probably need to know about Alpheus.
Oh God. What?
Ooh, is he Aratos? No, I'm kidding.
And I think Malekith just says that, and we hard cut to end there. And I'm gonna tell you guys off stream, the secret that will be probably revealed next session when Chad actually has his scene with Spiridon. But this is something that Malekith has known for a long time. And didn't really necessarily know it was going to be relevant, but is like, whoa, that's the guy that they, like, okay, I know some things. So we'll go ahead and I think end it there, right? We have some plans. So I think Malekith will reveal this to you. I don't think it's gonna have a direct impact on like the plans that you guys are doing right now. But it would be something that he'd be like, okay, I need to, like, this is a secret I've been keeping. It's not necessary to keep it anymore. Like, you guys should just know this because it might help. But so you're gonna like try to, you just like gain favor in Setgis and whatnot. Is Malekith just going to be like funding everything for you? Like, how can he help more substantially with like his skills and stuff to make this work? Because right now, as of right now, he's just been like kind of petitioning hierarchs in the government, just being like, "Hey, we need help in Sinia. Could you give us resources? Could you supply us with weapons? Can you do anything?"
I mean, Malekith is decent at talking with people, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has a good like, oratory.
Persuasion and oratory.
And persuasion, yeah.
Like, I think and I think maybe this is what Maya was trying to get across. Instead of just asking for help, you just need to, like, know these people. Just, like, be their friend.
Mm-hmm.
Go and, like, get to know them, kind of a thing. Like, on a personal level. I don't know. Maybe that's...
No, I mean, that might make sense, right?
Yeah, right now it's very business-like. Well, I need this, and exactly, I'll give this in return. Whereas if it's like, yeah, this is my buddy Malekith. We know each other from way back. What the heck is going on, man?
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, these twits took over my city. And it's like,
and to be honest, right, part of the reason that Malekith has just been doing this in business-like manner is because he's afraid of Seraphim finding out who he is. Right. And so talking to any of the hierarchy, because the government of the city is run by the priests of Seraphim. Like it's a priest hierarchy. Those are the people who run the place. And so he's like, I know some of these people for sure, but the more I talk to them, the more I am involved in this city, the closer it becomes to the secret getting out of who I am. And if Seraphim finds out who I am, he will just murder me. Right. He could literally, as far as Malekith knows, he could just control all the zombies in the city and have them immediately attack him, right? So he's like, I can't risk myself, but I think your oratory here has been like, okay, fine. I'll go into the city. Like, we'll probably start with the patron that your friend Maya was gonna get involved because he's a hierarch, and they could probably start there and start working your way through the hierarchs, try to find some allies, make some oratory rolls. So, cool.
Because I know that the what's it called? The not sanctification. The
purification.
That is one of the miracles I can do, but it's not the one I was thinking of. It's natural magic. Here it is. Consecration. You can mark a place as holy, and then spirits and demons who are like lower than the faith attribute. We could. It
wouldn't be a bad idea for Malekith though to possibly hire a bodyguard like Joser has, or put some kind of safeguards up. But safeguards also might be more attention than. But you could also stay there for me because I'm the king's daughter. So and you're just around me. So
Yeah, because I if the tent. There's one thing I kind of want to ask you, Caleb, is would it be possible for Joser to consecrate his tent? As in make it a tabernacle that he can then move around and plonk down somewhere, and then it's consecrated there.
I see. Let's take a look at their wording on that again. A lengthy prayer can be offered to mark a place as holy and sacrosanct, protected from the ill will of spirits and demons. This consecration will bar spirits and demons. Yeah, okay. A place. I like the tabernacle thing. Yeah, that's kind of cool. So I'll probably give it to you. Yeah. That's pretty fun.
So that's something that he might attempt at some point, but he hasn't. Think of it.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and do beliefs and instincts and call it a wrap here. Start with you, Joser.
Cool. Open up my sheet again. Yes. So Hagiel's power must be increased if his light appears. Coming darkness, I will attempt to learn of my past, which I did. I succeeded at that.
You did, yeah. You learned some pretty substantial things about your past.
Indeed. If I'm to maintain myself, I must be aware of all the variables. I did join the Nulla Mysteria Club.
You did, Persona.
And I did seek her out and ask for a favor, but I did not succeed in getting a favor.
So yes, fate point there, and I'll think of who that is. I have a vague idea, but I'll come up with the actual character that she's gonna send you to for next time.
Instinct 1 is always pray for greater insightfulness before entering a social situation. I don't know if you'll give that to me for Lady Hates Hagiel or not.
Yeah. You know what? We'll give it to you. Yeah.
Yep. Thalia wasn't addressed negatively.
Thalia wasn't around today.
And I did reveal the true intentions, but they were related to me. So.
All right.
Let's see. Traits wise, I don't think there's anything massive here. Yeah. Yep. We'll have to actually rouse some rebels before I get roused.
Indeed. I'm sure there will be plenty of rebels to rouse before the end here. Let's look at the extra. Oh wait, where is that?
It's on the page.
Oh yeah, there you go. Let's see. Humor. I think we pretty much always give Joser the humor fate point because of course we do. He's just a funny dude. The conversation with the witch was pretty fun. So I'll give you a fate point for that. Embodiment. I feel like Joser got something persona, like one of these. I guess it wasn't Moldbreaker, but I don't know. That the whole conversation between Malekith and Joser was really fun and dark or not dark, dramatic and deep. Are you guys fine with giving both of them a persona for embodiment? Giving Malekith one too. Cool. That's probably it. Maya.
I will find a way to earn more funds. Well, I got somebody to agree to help me do that. I don't know. Would you say I accomplished
and
that,
this is related to the patron of the arts person?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you can probably fate point then. Yeah.
Okay, because I haven't actually secured the way to get more funds yet. Okay. I didn't do anything about Alpheus. I backed down on that.
Yep.
And then I will learn more about who he is as a god. I certainly tried.
Yeah, I'll give you a fate point. It's like you didn't really make a roll on it at all, but there were certainly
Well, I did make a roll for that falsehood, but it's just that I inevitably did learn more because of the conversation between him and Joe.
Right, I forgot that's what you were going to the bishop. Yeah, I'll think with just a fate point, right? You failed the roll, and you didn't actually make a roll when you did learn things, so yeah, just probably a fate point.
Okay.
Cool. If you had try to get the guy to kill Alpheus, always put my son first no matter what, probably is a fate point there, right? But you didn't follow through.
Yeah.
You did back down from a challenge, so
with the Alpheus thing.
With the same thing. And I don't know if any of the rest of your traits really came up either, so Maya,
I just got back the 2 fate that I got.
Yeah.
That I took. So
cool. And then last but certainly not least, we have Bird Mom Avra. Adopting the poor innocent falcon. Let's see. Let's see. Work with them. You haven't done anything with the Irida yet. Beyond what we already did in the last couple sessions. You are assisting Caledon with the work that he's doing in Nima, right? This is part the whole guiding them there is part of it, and so fate point there, I think. And then you got a new companion. I mean, he's not guaranteed to stay, but you have one, right? For now. So I'm trying to think. Let's give you a fate point
because you still have to like win him over as like your friend, right? He's willing to help you for food, but I think like making him your friend and your companion is still in the air. So 2 fate points, and I think we'll give you a fate point for right skill, right time. I had already had an idea that this is what happened in the mountains. Like this was already part of the world building. So I think it's just fun that we can see Avra do more falcony stuff. So I think 3 fate points for Avra. So we'll go ahead and pop those in your sheet. I think that is it from Death Unto Madness. Thanks for playing, guys. That was a lot of fun. I'll give you guys the secret after we close here, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do next time. Okie dokie. We're out. Adios.